Chapter 5071. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He held the epic war spear and thrust it forward. The spear. It pierced through heaven and earth. It was like an invincible god of war had attacked. The power of the spear caused heaven and earth to change color, and the sun and moon to sink. Initially, when Lin Feng used his era's battle spear, he could already release incredible strength. But now, Lin Feng had received the support of the Demon Lord's power, so the epic war spear's power had naturally increased greatly. The epic war spear was Lin Feng's strongest treasure. It was even stronger than an ancient weapon. In terms of grade, the epic war spear was still equivalent to a top-tier ancient weapon. However, because it was a treasure passed down through the generations, it relied heavily on the bloodline. In the hands of cultivators from other races, it was equivalent to a top-tier ancient weapon. However, in the hands of a sovereign, its power would increase by another level. Therefore, in Lin Feng's hands, the epic war spear was even stronger than an ancient weapon. Therefore, when Lin Feng thrust the epic war spear, its power could be described as apocalyptic. It instantly destroyed the power of time that was attacking Lin Feng. Lin Feng's morale was greatly boosted. He strode towards the flower of time. Lin Feng's voice was cold. Flower of time. It's time for everything to end. Today, I will send you off. Boy, it's too early for you to be happy. The battle between us has only just begun. The flower of time sneered. The flower of time suddenly swept out 7 different types of energy. The 7 different types of energy fused together and turned into a 7-colored immortal light. Next, a large amount of time energy fused with the 7-colored immortal light, and the 7-colored immortal light turned into an 8-colored immortal light. The 8-colored immortal light was unimaginably powerful. After sensing the terrifying aura of the 8-colored immortal light, Lin Feng couldn't help but reveal a trace of shock. This was because even as strong as he was now, when he sensed the power of the 8-colored immortal light, his blood began to flow at an unprecedented speed. This was the ability of sudden inspiration. At this time, the blood in Lin Feng's body began to flow rapidly. This meant that Lin Feng's life was in danger. This was an extremely frightening thing because the opponent's attack was already threatening his life. Break. Lin Feng gathered his power and stabbed out. The epic war spear also vibrated with extremely strong power. Lin Feng became one with the spear and wanted to destroy the 8-colored immortal light. The epic war spear in Lin Feng's hand collided with the 8-colored immortal light in an instant. Lin Feng felt as if his spear had stabbed an immortal mountain. The immortal mountain was emitting an even more powerful force that began to oppress Lin Feng's body. The powerful force made Lin Feng feel a suffocating pressure. The attack of the flower of time was too powerful. Lin Feng was actually suppressed. Lin Feng's expression suddenly changed. The flower of time was actually so powerful. It was no wonder that the Demon Lord suggested to combine their power and activate the epic war spear at the same time to deal with the flower of time. Such a powerful and terrifying flower of time naturally needed to be treated with extreme caution. The slightest carelessness would be extremely fatal. Boy, you will soon become my nourishment. The cold voice of the flower of time came. Its attack was getting stronger and stronger. The power of its attack came from 2 aspects. The first aspect was that the 7-colored immortal light emitted from its body would affect the final attack. The second aspect was that the power of time in the cave of time would affect the final attack. The power of the 7-colored immortal light was very strong, but it was not to the point where it could not be resisted. However, the attack formed by the 8-colored immortal light that was integrated with the power of time was too terrifying. It suppressed Lin Feng to the point where he had almost no chance to fight back. As the power of time continued to integrate into it, the power of the 8-colored immortal light was still increasing. Lin Feng knew that he absolutely could not continue like this. If this continued, then he would really be finished. The flower of time was so confident. It had indeed obtained an oppressive advantage now. The flower of time felt that Lin Feng was definitely going to die. It was normal for it to have such thoughts. However, it also underestimated Lin Feng's means. Although Lin Feng was indeed very suppressed now, it did not mean that Lin Feng had no ability to resist at all. In fact, it was not like this. Lin Feng had already thought of a counterattack. That was, he planned to use the Great Fate technique to isolate the seven-colored immortal light and the power of time. If the seven-colored immortal light and the power of time could not be combined, there was no way to continuously form the eight-colored immortal light. When the time came, the Flower of Time's attack would not be able to hurt Lin Feng. In the face of the proud Flower of Time's self-righteous words, Lin Feng did not refute. At this moment, Lin Feng was preparing to activate the Great Fate technique. The Great Tao of Fate, please descend the power of fate. Let the power of fate dominate all the order of the world. Lin Feng's sincere voice resounded in the time cave. After his voice faded, a large amount of the power of fate suddenly appeared in the time cave. The power of fate continuously poured out from the void. Under Lin Feng's control, the power of fate integrated into the void of the time cave. Then, the power of fate. It isolated the seven-colored immortal light and the power of time from the Flower of Time. The Flower of Time tried to absorb more power of time to increase the power of its attack. Then, it could eliminate Lin Feng in one fell swoop. However, it failed. Not only did its attack not become stronger, but it also weakened greatly because it could not absorb the power of time. Lin Feng held the battle spear in his hand. The battle spear in his hand suddenly shook the void. In an instant, the seven-colored immortal light in the void shattered. Seeing the seven-colored immortal light shatter, Lin Feng's face lit up with joy. He had finally broken the Flower of Time's attack. It was really dangerous just now. Fortunately, the Great Fate technique was stronger. Otherwise, he might have died under the Flower of Time's attack just now. After resolving the Flower of Time's attack, Lin Feng held the battle spear in his hand and leaped out. He then stabbed towards the Flower of Time. Powerful magic power continuously poured into the Era Battle Spear. As Lin Feng's magic power poured in, the Era Battle Spear's aura and power continued to increase. Chapter 5072. Puff. Lin Feng's peerless spear directly pierced the petals of the Flower of Time. The first petal was immediately pierced by Lin Feng's epic war spear. Ah, you actually hurt me. The Flower of Time let out an incomparably painful scream. It was injured by Lin Feng. Now, it was incomparably angry, and its killing intent was monstrous. Lin Feng could clearly feel it. Inside the Flower of Time, there seemed to be a special power. That special power. It had a great impact on his epic war spear. Lin Feng's epic war spear seemed to be stuck. The situation. It was really quite bad. Lin Feng's face couldn't help but sink slightly. Suddenly, the petals of the Flower of Time began to open on their own. When the first petal opened, an invisible force was released. At such a close distance, Lin Feng couldn't dodge at all. Moreover, even if he could dodge that invisible and intangible strength, Lin Feng couldn't dodge that invisible and intangible strength. Because Lin Feng's epic war spear hadn't been pulled out yet. The epic war spear couldn't leave his hand. If he couldn't control the flower of the epic war spear, how could he fight against the Flower of Time? When the time came, he would probably be destroyed by the Flower of Time. Therefore, Lin Feng forcibly endured that invisible force attack. Although he was wearing the ruler's armor, although his physical body was strong, however, when Lin Feng's body forcibly endured the terrifying attack just now, he was still shaken to the point of spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. Lin Feng's face became extremely pale. He felt that his bones had been shattered. He didn't know when the last time he suffered such an injury. His damage was completely suppressed. It seemed that even if he joined forces with the Demon Lord, they were still not a match for the Flower of Time. For countless years, I have never suffered any injuries, but now, I was actually injured by an ant-like character like you. You really deserve to die. The Flower of Time's voice sounded a little flustered. The Flower of Time was too powerful. Such a powerful existence was actually injured by Lin Feng. Hence, the Flower of Time was abnormally angry. This was what it meant to fly into a rage out of humiliation. Once one flew into a rage out of humiliation, one could do anything. The current Flower of Time didn't want to kill Lin Feng so easily, because in the eyes of the Flower of Time, that would be too easy for Lin Feng. It wanted Lin Feng to die in fear and pain. If possible, it would be best for Lin Feng to beg for mercy, but the Flower of Time wouldn't forgive Lin Feng. The Flower of Time simply wanted to see Lin Feng's pitiful appearance. Such a scene could bring the Flower of Time a sense of pleasure. It had to be said that the Flower of Time was really abnormal. The second petal opened and released a terrifying strength. That terrifying strength bombarded Lin Feng's body again. Kacha, 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 kacha. Lin Feng's bones were already broken by that invisible and intangible strength. Lin Feng's face was deathly pale. He was going insane. He was actually injured like this by the Flower of Time, and the most tragic thing was that Lin Feng didn't have a way to fight back. This made him quite depressed. Lin Feng transmitted his voice to the Demon Lord, but now that the power of the Demon Lord had integrated into Lin Feng's body, the Demon Lord couldn't continue to help Lin Feng. Even the Demon Lord didn't expect the Flower of Time to be so tyrannical. It was simply an existence that couldn't be resisted. Bang, bang, bang. The petals of the Flower of Time continued to open. Every time a new petal opened, the Flower of Time would erupt with an extremely terrifying invisible power, and Lin Feng would be injured by this invisible power. Lin Feng didn't know how many of his bones were broken. Fortunately, Lin Feng's immortal bloodline was strong enough. Otherwise, even if he was wearing the Dominator's armor, he would have been shocked to death many times over. But now, being able to survive was really not an easy thing to do. Lin Feng tried hard to pull out the Arrow War Spear, but after many attempts, he still couldn't succeed. Lin Feng knew that he couldn't continue to sit and wait for death. In the process of resisting the Flower of Time, his spiritual power was extremely consumed. If he couldn't get rid of this guy, then it would be really dangerous. Lin Feng thought of a method. Lin Feng didn't know if it would be effective. Lin Feng's method was to use the broken corpse in the mysterious iron box to deal with the Flower of Time. Perhaps it would be effective. After thinking of this, Lin Feng quickly summoned the mysterious iron box. You actually have this iron box? When the Flower of Time saw the mysterious iron box, it cried out in alarm. It couldn't believe its eyes. The mysterious iron box had reappeared in the world. This made it think of many terrifying legends. The mysterious iron box knew those legends because it had devoured many powerful cultivators over the countless years. It was madly absorbing the souls and memories of those cultivators. Now, those souls and memories had become its memories, so it knew many things about the mysterious iron box. Lin Feng ignored the Flower of Time. The most important thing now was to open the mysterious iron box. It would take some time. The Flower of Time also knew that Lin Feng wanted to open the mysterious iron box to deal with it. So, after a short period of shock, the Flower of Time attacked again. This time, the Flower of Time's attack wasn't aimed at Lin Feng. It was aimed at the mysterious iron box. Bang! An invisible power directly shook the mysterious iron box. The mysterious iron box. It was immediately sent flying. Not good. Lin Feng's expression suddenly changed. The mysterious iron box had been sent flying. This was going to be troublesome. He still wanted to use the mysterious iron box to deal with the Flower of Time. Now, this hope had been completely dashed. Your wish has been dashed. Now, you can die. The Flower of Time's voice was filled with killing intent. Originally, the Flower of Time wanted to torture Lin Feng. Then, it would kill Lin Feng. But after the Flower of Time saw that Lin Feng's methods were extremely extraordinary, it immediately gave up on this idea. He had to hurry up and kill Lin Feng. He didn't want anything else to happen. So, the Flower of Time. It attacked Lin Feng again. This time, the Flower of Time opened 9 petals. 9 was the ultimate number. It represented death. This was an ominous number. It made countless experts afraid. When the Flower of Time opened 9 petals, it represented the ultimate killing. So, after the 9 petals opened, a terrifying power erupted. It made Lin Feng. They couldn't help but feel a sense of extreme despair. Chapter 5073. Lin Feng's face was gloomy. The attack of the Flower of Time was too powerful. Especially now. The Flower of Time actually opened 9 flower braids at once. This was too terrifying. Lin Feng knew that the attack formed by the Flower of Time, opening 9 flower braids at once, was not something he could contend against now. However, the mysterious iron box was sent flying by the Flower of Time. Therefore, now, he couldn't use the mysterious iron box to deal with the attack of the Flower of Time. The current situation was too dangerous. Lin Feng could die under the attack of the Flower of Time at any time. But at this extremely dangerous moment, Lin Feng suddenly felt that the complete heaven-shaking steel in the space of time was emitting waves of violent fluctuations. When Lin Feng felt the fluctuations emitted by the heaven-shaking steel, his face immediately revealed a look of joy. Could it be that the heaven-shaking steel could be useful at this time? If that was the case, then that would be great. Lin Feng hurriedly took out the heaven-shaking steel. When the heaven-shaking steel was taken out by Lin Feng, many runes appeared on the heaven-shaking steel. This shocked Lin Feng, because the heaven-shaking steel was basically in the state of a wordless steel. The runes inside the heaven-shaking steel rarely awakened. However, once those runes awakened, they would often erupt with extremely terrifying power. Now that the runes of the heaven-shaking steel had awakened, the heaven-shaking steel directly flew towards the Flower of Time. At this time, the powerful attacks released by the 9 flower braids all bombarded the heaven-shaking steel. Something shocking happened. Those powerful forces were all absorbed by the heaven-shaking steel. The heaven-shaking steel was indeed terrifying. The battle strength it displayed was simply too powerful. In fact, Lin Feng didn't know why the heaven-shaking steel would have such a change at this time. However, Lin Feng felt that the heaven-shaking steel might have such a change because the heaven-shaking steel also wanted a share of the loot. Which part of the Flower of Time did the heaven-shaking steel need? Of course, now was not the time to care about this. The most important thing was to destroy the Flower of Time. Lin Feng's Fa Li kept pouring into the sky-shaking steel. As Lin Feng's Fa Li kept pouring into the sky-shaking steel, the power of the sky-shaking steel kept increasing. The sky-shaking steel had always been a special supreme treasure. As a mysterious existence that could be mentioned in the same breath as the supreme immortal court and the gate of everlasting life, Lin Feng would not be surprised no matter how powerful the sky-shaking steel's attack was. This was because the heaven-shaking stone tablet was just that powerful. After the sky-shaking steel shattered the Flower of Time's attack, it quickly flew towards the Flower of Time. The heaven-shaking steel continued to bombard the Flower of Time. At the same time, the Flower of Time continued to bombard the heaven-shaking steel. The two sides engaged in a fierce battle. The fight was extremely intense, and it was hard to tell who would win. The Flower of Time was indeed heaven-defying. It was actually able to block the attack of the heaven-shaking steel. But this was only the beginning. As Lin Feng's Fa Li kept pouring into the sky-shaking steel, the power of the sky-shaking steel continued to increase. Amidst the continuous collisions, Yi Zichen was stunned. Finally, the Flower of Time was gradually suppressed. The sky-shaking steel gained the upper hand. The sky-shaking steel, it's actually the sky-shaking steel. You actually have the sky-shaking steel, this supreme treasure. However, even if you have the sky-shaking steel, you will still die in my hands today. The Flower of Time's cold voice sounded. After the Flower of Time's voice sounded, a golden energy suddenly gushed out from the inside of the Flower of Time. It was an extremely strange golden energy. The golden energy was integrated with the power of time. After the golden energy gushed out, it fiercely hit the sky-shaking steel. The golden energy was so powerful that it actually knocked the sky-shaking steel away. Lin Feng's expression became extremely ugly. If even the sky-shaking steel could not suppress the Flower of Time, that would be terrible. Lin Feng really could not think of any other way to suppress the Flower of Time. The golden energy was too strange and too powerful. However, just as Lin Feng felt that things were getting more and more troublesome, the sky-shaking steel erupted with an even stronger power. That power was really terrifying. When Lin Feng felt the power gushing out from the sky-shaking steel, Lin Feng's face revealed a surprised expression. The sky-shaking steel was really mysterious. After being suppressed, it immediately began to counterattack. And the sky-shaking steel's counterattack was so fierce. The sky-shaking steel, whose power had greatly increased, once again suppressed the flower of time. The golden energy gushing out from the flower of time directly rushed toward the sky-shaking steel like before. However, this time, the golden energy was directly shattered by the sky-shaking steel. The golden energy was very powerful, but now it seemed so weak under the sky-shaking steel's attack. Seeing the sky-shaking steel's great power, Lin Feng's eyes suddenly became extremely bright. The magic power in his body flowed into the sky-shaking steel continuously. After receiving the support of a large amount of magic power, the sky-shaking steel's power continued to increase. Under Lin Feng's control, the sky-shaking steel continued to suppress the flower of time. Facing the suppression of the sky-shaking steel, the flower of time gradually could not resist the suppression of the sky-shaking steel. Why is it like this? The flower of time cried out unwillingly. It continued to struggle. The petals of the flower of time shook violently. Waves of energy surged out from the ground. That kind of wave was very strange as it impacted the sky-shaking steel. It wanted to dissolve the terrifying power of the sky-shaking steel. However, any attack in front of the sky-shaking steel seemed so weak. The main reason was that the sky-shaking steel was too powerful now. The sky-shaking steel directly shattered the wave attacks. Then, it suppressed the flower of time. The flower of time still wanted to continue struggling, but at this time, Lin Feng held the arrow war spear and directly swept it towards the flower of time. With a tearing sound, a petal of the flower of time was directly cut off by Lin Feng. "I'm going to kill you!" The flower of time screamed angrily. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. The flower of time was already like an arrow at the end of its flight. The current Lin Feng was not afraid of the flower of time at all. Chapter 5074. The world inside the flower of time was filled with a mysterious aura. This place was constructed by the flower of time, giving it a very mysterious color. Holy light lingered everywhere. It was dazzling and incomparably gorgeous. In addition, inside the flower of time, there was an extremely powerful power of time. The power of time in this place was relatively special. It contained an extremely ancient energy. Lin Feng even felt that if he absorbed the power of time in this place, it would greatly benefit his cultivation. Of course, Lin Feng didn't have the time to absorb the power of time in this place. He had to quickly find Feng Yaorao. This was the matter that Lin Feng was most concerned about. Lin Feng quickly rushed inside. After a quarter of an hour, Lin Feng saw a green plant in this world. That plant was growing towards the sky. In the center of the green plant was a huge ball wrapped in leaves. He didn't know what that thing was. After seeing that ball wrapped in leaves, Lin Feng couldn't help but be slightly surprised. He carefully sensed it and immediately revealed a happy expression, because Feng Yaorao was inside that ball. This made Lin Feng extremely happy. Lin Feng quickly flew towards that ball wrapped in leaves. Soon, he arrived at that ball wrapped in leaves. Lin Feng slashed out a sword chi. Along with a tearing sound, that ball wrapped in leaves was immediately torn apart by Lin Feng. Feng Yaorao was curled up inside, resting. She was as beautiful and moving as before. After seeing Feng Yaorao, Lin Feng couldn't help but reveal a happy expression. Feng Yaorao was fine. This was really a matter worthy of celebration. Lin Feng quickly flew in and hugged Feng Yaorao. Feng Yaorao seemed to have sensed something and opened her eyes. When she saw that it was Lin Feng, she couldn't help but mutter to herself, "Am I dreaming again? It's so good to be able to dream of you." After saying that, Feng Yaorao snuggled into Lin Feng's bosom and quickly fell into a deep sleep. Previously, she had been resisting the invasion of a strange power. Feng Yaorao felt that if she was unable to resist, she might disappear from this world. Therefore, Feng Yaorao didn't dare to be careless. However, Feng Yaorao's resistance was still very useful, because she had fainted just before Lin Feng's arrival, but Lin Feng's arrival had woken her up once again. If Lin Feng had arrived late, Feng Yaorao might not have been able to hold on, and at that time, it would have been disastrous for Feng Yaorao. Perhaps, by the time Lin Feng arrived, Feng Yaorao would have already perished. Fortunately, none of these terrible things happened. Lin Feng put Feng Yaorao into a time and empty space. Even though time and empty space were Lin Feng's secret, he didn't want to reveal it to other people, mainly because he could change the flow of time and he could store all sorts of resources. However, Lin Feng didn't hide anything from Feng Yaorao. Feng Yaorao was one of Lin Feng's favorite women, so Lin Feng naturally didn't want to hide this from Feng Yaorao. This green vine is the foundation of the flower of time. If you cut it, the flower of time will die. Demon Lord transmitted his voice to Lin Feng. Hearing this, Lin Feng nodded. He released sword chi towards the huge green vine. But at that moment, a green energy escaped from the huge green vine. That green energy protected the vine, and when Lin Feng's attack reached it, it was unexpectedly absorbed by the green energy. After seeing this scene, Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. It seemed like that green vine was really strange. He took out his epic war spear, wanting to use this powerful treasure to destroy that green energy, but he still failed. No matter what kind of attack he used, that green energy seemed to be able to absorb it. No, forcibly attacking is useless. Try to use your devouring martial spirit and see if you can absorb that green energy. Demon Lord transmitted his voice to Lin Feng. Hearing this, Lin Feng didn't dare to hesitate. He immediately used his devouring martial spirit and started to absorb that strange green energy. As Lin Feng used his devouring martial spirit, that strange green energy was gradually absorbed by Lin Feng. However, when Lin Feng absorbed that green energy, new energy was produced. Shit, I don't believe that I can't absorb all of that green energy. Lin Feng couldn't help but shout loudly. Lin Feng continued to absorb that strange green energy. Lin Feng's devouring martial spirit had completely fused together and turned into a huge devouring black hole. Then, Lin Feng started to continuously absorb that green energy. As time passed, the green energy was gradually absorbed by Lin Feng. Moreover, the speed at which Lin Feng was absorbing the green energy was much faster than the speed at which it was being reproduced. Therefore, the green energy couldn't be reproduced in time and became thinner and thinner. After Lin Feng had absorbed that green energy, Lin Feng suddenly felt that the sapling of the world tree in his dantian was emitting a cheerful sound. That green energy was unceasingly flowing into the sapling of the world tree. Since Lin Feng had obtained the sapling of the world tree when he was young, many years had passed and the sapling of the world tree was growing very slowly. Firstly, the sapling of the world tree was an extremely high-level existence. Secondly, there wasn't enough energy to provide the sapling of the world tree. Ordinary energy couldn't make the sapling of the world tree grow. Only some special energy could do that. This green energy seemed to be able to do that. The sapling of the world tree greedily absorbed that energy. As the energy was absorbed by the sapling of the world tree, the sapling of the world tree started to grow rapidly. It didn't take long for the sapling of the world tree to grow 10 centimeters tall. At that moment, a branch of the sapling of the world tree started to grow crazily. That branch was rapidly growing towards Lin Feng's right arm. What's going on? The changes in his body naturally couldn't be hidden from Lin Feng. When Lin Feng saw this scene, his face was filled with shock. Chapter 5075. Gate of the Four Extremes? What's that? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask curiously. He didn't know much about the world tree sapling. After all, Lin Feng had only seen fragments of it and had never seen the real thing. It was rumored that the world tree that had taken root in the 9 continents was an extremely terrifying existence. If it hadn't been cut down, who knew how much it would have grown? Even the deterioration of the 9 continents seemed to have a lot to do with the world tree sapling. However, these were all just rumors. Now, perhaps he could hear more about the world tree from the Demon Lord. Lin Feng was sure that the Demon Lord had seen the real world tree. The Demon Lord didn't answer Lin Feng directly. Instead, he said, "The human body is a diagram of meridians. Do you know this?" Lin Feng nodded and said, "I do. It's said that this is the biggest difference between the human race and the other races." The Demon Lord said, "Indeed, this is the biggest difference between the human race and the other races. The meridians of the human body represent enormous treasures. If you can open these treasures, you can obtain endless benefits. That's why the innate human race was so powerful back then. They were so powerful because they were born with the ability to open part of their meridians, which allowed them to grasp unimaginable abilities. That's why the innate human race was so terrifying back then. However, as time passed, the innate human bloodline was constantly diluted, and the number of innate human cultivators who could open their meridians became fewer and fewer, which was one of the main reasons for the decline of the human race. Of course, there were still some cultivators who were able to open their meridians. I heard that your father was already heaven-defying at such a young age. I suspect that the reason why he was so strong was because he had opened the meridians of the human body. Lin Feng pondered for a moment and nodded. His father had indeed opened the meridians of the human body in order to explore the secrets of his body. The human body was a huge treasure, and once one explored it, they would obtain endless benefits. Perhaps this was one of the reasons why his father had risen so quickly. Of course, no one's rise could be due to one reason. There were many other reasons, and Lin Feng's rise was also due to many factors. However, opening the meridians of the human body couldn't be ignored. The Demon Lord continued, "The four extremes I just mentioned are the foundation of opening the meridians of the human body. Your hands are pointing at the sky, and your feet are on the ground. Your hands are touching the sky, and your feet are touching the ground. That's the so-called four extremes. If you want to open the meridians of the human body and search for the treasures of the human body, you have to start from the four extremes. If the meridians of the human body are compared to a huge palace, then the four extremes are the four gates of the palace. If you want to search for the treasures, you have to open the gates first. If you can't even open the gates, then you can forget about searching for the treasures," said Lin Feng. "So, I have to open the gates of the four extremes? You can think of it that way, but I prefer to call it the evolution of the four extremes. Let's observe the specific changes of the seedling of the Jianmu tree. I think the seedling wants to help you open the gates of the four extremes, but I don't know if it can do that," said the Demon Lord. Lin Feng nodded. He couldn't help but look forward to it. Lin Feng was still crazily absorbing the green energy. Originally, Lin Feng hoped that the green energy would be absorbed by him quickly. That way, he could quickly destroy the foundation of the flower of time. But now, Lin Feng was praying that the green vine would release more green energy for the Jianmu tree seedling to absorb. Lin Feng realized something. The Jianmu tree seedling drilled into his flesh and blood, but it didn't devour his flesh and blood. Instead, it fused with his flesh and blood. The Jianmu tree seedling's branches were still growing. Those branches eventually reached Lin Feng's 5 fingers and stopped growing. Those branches fused perfectly with his flesh and blood. Lin Feng felt that his right arm was different, but he didn't know what exactly was different. Lin Feng didn't know. "Demon Lord, the Jianmu tree seedling isn't moving," said Lin Feng using telepathy. "The energy here isn't enough for it to continue growing, so it's not moving. Try stretching your hand towards the sky," said the Demon Lord. The hand the Demon Lord was talking about was Lin Feng's right hand, because the Jianmu tree's branches had completely fused with Lin Feng's right hand. Lin Feng followed the Demon Lord's instructions and stretched his right hand towards the sky. Suddenly, an endless amount of energy of the world rushed towards him. Lin Feng was startled. He didn't absorb the energy of the world at all, but the energy was continuously gathering towards him. If he absorbed the energy of the world, how fast would it gather in his body? He didn't know about the other benefits of opening the gates of the four extremes, but his cultivation speed would definitely increase crazily. Lin Feng said, "Demon Lord, my arm can actually absorb the energy of the world. It's really amazing," said the Demon Lord. That's the benefit of opening the gates of the four extremes. The first benefit, which is also the first treasure, is cultivation. Cultivation is the foundation of a cultivator's advancement. Therefore, after opening the gates of the four extremes, your cultivation speed will greatly increase. "What are the other benefits?" asked Lin Feng, pleasantly surprised. Opening the gates of the four extremes was definitely a heaven-defying opportunity. Although he had only opened the gates of the four extremes on his right hand, Lin Feng was still very excited. This had shown him a new path of evolution. It could allow him to greatly increase his overall strength. Said the Demon Lord, "Everyone is different. So after opening the gates of the four extremes, the treasures that can be found in the human body will also be different. Can you be more specific? Asked Lin Feng. Yao Jun was silent for a moment before he said, there's no harm in telling you about a few treasures in the human body. For example, sealing treasures. Your current 8 divine seals is an extremely powerful sealing technique, but you need to suppress your opponent before you can use it. This kind of sealing technique can last for a long time, but it has a lot of restrictions in battle. If you open up a human body to explore, you might find a new sealing technique. When you fight with others, you don't need to suppress them. You just need to use this sealing technique, and even if your opponent is in peak condition, they might be instantly sealed by you. Chapter 5076. The Demon Lord said, this is the extraordinary part of opening the human meridian diagram. Of course, if you don't open the human meridian diagram, it won't have any impact on your cultivation. Moreover, there have been so many experts since ancient times, and there are many who haven't opened the human meridian diagram. Those experts' battle strength is also incomparably powerful. However, if you can really open the human meridian diagram, it will naturally be an extremely good supplement for your own body. Lin Feng nodded. In fact, the Demon Lord's words were really too modest. Because if he really succeeded in activating the human meridian diagram, his own potential, attack, defense, speed, and so on would be greatly improved. And this kind of improvement was enough to make people crazy. Now that I have opened the first door of the four extremes, I wonder what kind of ability will I awaken when exploring the human meridian diagram. Lin Feng couldn't help but look forward to it. Exploring the human meridian diagram, unearthing his own potential, and awakening extraordinary abilities. How exciting was that? Of course, Lin Feng also knew that now was not the time to explore the human meridian diagram. It would take a certain amount of time to explore the human meridian diagram. And now, Lin Feng didn't have so much time to explore the human meridian diagram. Although the heaven-shaking stone tablet had temporarily suppressed the flower of time, the flower of time was still struggling violently. Maybe at some point, the flower of time would struggle free. At that time, if he hadn't killed the flower of time, the flower of time might be able to complete the reversal. Therefore, even now, he absolutely couldn't be careless. Lin Feng held the epic war spear in his hand and directly swept toward the purple vine. The epic war spear swept over the vine. Suddenly, a huge gap was torn in the vine. Lin Feng's spirit was slightly lifted. He continued to attack. One attack after another. Puff, puff, puff. Accompanied by the sound of tearing, there was a sound. After more than 10 consecutive attacks, finally, the vine was completely destroyed, and the whole space began to shake violently. Cracking sounds could be heard one after another. The surrounding void began to crack. After seeing this scene, Lin Feng's face couldn't help but change slightly. The foundation of the flower of time was destroyed, and the world inside the flower of time began to collapse. Lin Feng knew that he had to go out quickly at this time. If he didn't go out, he might encounter danger. Lin Feng was about to fly outside. Suddenly, the void trembled slightly. The heaven-shaking steel appeared. A divine light swept out from the heaven-shaking stone tablet. The divine light swept directly onto the Rattan's body. The Rattan suddenly disappeared without a trace. It was unknown if it was swallowed by the steel. After the Rattan disappeared, the steel quickly flew into Lin Feng's body and disappeared. Lin Feng didn't stop. He quickly went outside and waited for Lin Feng to arrive. The flower of time began to collapse. The huge body of the flower of time cracked at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the end, the flower of time completely died. The petals fell to the ground, and the stamen appeared in sight. The Demon Lord collected the stamen of the flower of time, and Lin Feng quickly collected the petals. It wasn't good to stay here for a long time. Lin Feng planned to leave quickly, and he also planned to refine the flower of time. Lin Feng really wanted to know if the time flower was really like what the Beast Lord had said. Could it really make his time Dao reach its maximum level? The Dao of Time was one of the top great Daos among the many great Daos. It would be an extremely important matter for Lin Feng. Feng Yaorao was still in a deep sleep. Her spirit was very tired. It was estimated that she would need to sleep for a few more days before she could wake up. Therefore, Lin Feng wasn't in a hurry to wake Feng Yaorao up now. Letting her have a good rest would play a key role in her spirit recovery. As for the demon lord, after obtaining the stamen of the flower of time, he went completely silent. He didn't know how much the stamen of the flower of time could help the demon lord improve his cultivation base. Lin Feng found a relatively secluded place to cultivate. The petals of the flower of time contained an extremely special energy. This energy, all of it fused into Lin Feng's body. At this time, the magical formation formed by the Tao of Time automatically operated. The Tao of Time was extremely sensitive to the energy formed by the petals of time. The energy that fused into Lin Feng's body, all of it was devoured by the Tao of Time. As the energy was devoured, suddenly, Lin Feng sensed that his time Tao was becoming more and more active. The energy just now was like a special catalyst. When the energy was absorbed by the magical formation formed by the Tao of Time, Lin Feng's magical formation began to evolve. Of course, whether the evolution could succeed or not depended on Lin Feng's level of comprehension of the Tao of Time. Lin Feng didn't dare to hesitate. He quickly began to comprehend the mystery of the Tao of Time. At this time, it was the easiest time for Lin Feng to have an epiphany. Lin Feng sat cross-legged. He tried to have an epiphany of the Tao of Time. With the passage of time, Lin Feng found that he had entered a special state. In this special state, Lin Feng's comprehension of the Tao of Time, it was increasing by a large margin. This made Lin Feng extremely happy. It seemed that the petals of the flower of time were really useful. The things that he couldn't comprehend before could be easily comprehended with the help of the petals of the flower of time. The petals of the flower of time seemed to contain the great Tao of Time. After absorbing that energy, he could comprehend the great Tao of Time. Cultivation was without time. In the blink of an eye, 10 days passed. 10 days. Lin Feng's Tao of Time went from small success to large success and then to perfection. The Tao of Time continued to make breakthroughs. This made Lin Feng extremely happy. After reaching perfection in the Tao of Time, Lin Feng felt that he seemed to be able to transform time and space again. Right now, time and space were flowing 10 times faster than before. After the transformation, time and space would definitely evolve again. However, if he wanted time and space to evolve, in addition to having a deeper understanding of the Tao of Time, he also needed some special things. For example, some extremely rare treasures of heaven and earth, or some extremely rare materials, and so on. Those things might be able to help time and space evolve, but it was extremely difficult to find such treasures of heaven and earth. Lin Feng knew this very well, so Lin Feng didn't dare to have too much hope that he would be able to find such things in a short period of time. If he could find such things in the future, Lin Feng would be satisfied. Hey, she's awake. When Lin Feng came out, he found that Feng Yaorao had also opened her eyes. After sleeping for a while, Feng Yaorao finally woke up. Lin Feng quickly entered time and space. Feng Yaorao was looking at the surroundings with a puzzled expression. At that moment, Lin Feng appeared in time and space. After seeing Lin Feng, Feng Yaorao was extremely shocked at first, then excitement appeared in her eyes. All these years, she had missed Lin Feng very much. Now, she was finally able to see him again. Chapter 5077. With a beauty in his arms, he was as warm as jade. Feng Yaorao was definitely the kind of little vixen that would make people constantly worry about her after parting ways. Now that he was hugging Feng Yaorao in his arms, the feeling was too comfortable. Feng Yaorao was a person who dared to love and hate, and this might be the reason why Lin Feng liked her so much. Think about it. If you have a lover, you ask your lover, "Do you love me very much?" One of them is more reserved and doesn't answer you. The other person has the same personality as Feng Yaorao, and then tells you, "Yes, I love you very much, so you must love me well in the future." Do you prefer a woman who is more reserved in front of you, or a woman who expresses her love for you? This question, it was as if he didn't even need to think to know the answer. Feng Yaorao's passion and boldness was perhaps the most unforgettable thing. I thought I was going to die. At that time, I thought about a lot of things. I thought about my father and you. I didn't expect that I would actually survive. Feng Yaorao said as she laid in Lin Feng's embrace. Her hands were tightly wrapped around Lin Feng's waist, as if she was afraid of being separated from Lin Feng. Lin Feng could feel Feng Yaorao's love for him from her words and actions. This was a love that went deep into her soul, and this love was mutual. Lin Feng rubbed Feng Yaorao's head, and then said, "You are my woman. No one can make you leave me." Hearing this, Feng Yaorao nodded her head. She had even forgotten when she started to like this embrace so much. Once she was embraced by this embrace, all her worries. It was as if she could forget that this embrace was too warm and comfortable. As the saying goes, absence makes the heart grow fonder. After Lin Feng and Feng Yaorao reunited, naturally, they couldn't help but rub their heads together. Lin Feng experienced the experience of a monarch not attending morning court for 3 days, only willing to play with his concubines in the Red Luan, the land of warmth, the tomb of heroes. This sentence was very reasonable. But fortunately, Lin Feng's willpower was strong, so he knew when to do what. Thus, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Lin Feng and Feng Yaorao went to look for the fire Qilin together with Princess Shui Yao and Little Moon. They were also here. It had been years since they last met. Lin Feng naturally missed them, especially the fire Qilin. He had a very close relationship with Lin Feng. Furthermore, in the past, Lin Feng had also learned alchemy from the fire Qilin. Lin Feng was able to rise up in a short period of time during the early years of his cultivation. Thus, the fire Qilin played a crucial role. Lin Feng's seclusion was on the second peak of the Purple Mountain Range. After coming out of the cave, Lin Feng and Feng Yaorao walked towards the outside. Lin Feng didn't forget that Little Rock King was still waiting for him outside. It was just that once the flower of time died, it would die. Thus, Lin Feng chose to refine the flower of time first before meeting up with Little Rock King. If the time was delayed for too long, the flower of time would be wasted. After that, Feng Yaorao woke up. When Lin Feng and Feng Yaorao were together, they were in the time-space. Therefore, even though 3 days had passed in the time-space, only 6 hours had passed in the real world. The Little Rock King didn't wait for too long. After Lin Feng and Feng Yaorao came out of the Purple Mountain Range, it caused quite a stir. Many people couldn't help but point at them and discuss spiritedly. The cultivators who had entered the Purple Mountain Range had all fallen, so when they saw Lin Feng and Feng Yaorao come out alive, they were naturally shocked. Little Rock King quickly flew over. Seeing that Feng Yaorao was fine, Little Rock King's face revealed a smile. He said, "I was very worried about you guys before, but seeing that you guys came out safe and sound, I can finally relax." Lin Feng nodded and said, "Let's go and find the fire Qilin, Princess Shui Yao and Little Moon." Lin Feng, Little Rock King, and Feng Yaorao didn't stay and quickly left. The cultivators who were watching the show were trying to guess Lin Feng's identity. They were also trying to guess how Lin Feng had brought Feng Yaorao out. Lin Feng naturally didn't know what these cultivators were thinking. Right now, his mind was focused on finding the fire Qilin, Princess Shui Yao, and Little Moon. After not seeing them for so many years, he wondered how their cultivation had improved. However, whether it was the fire Qilin or Princess Shui Yao, or Little Moon, both of them were extremely talented people and came from the 9 regions world. After coming to the Undying Realm, they must be like fish in water. After cultivating in the ancestral land of the demon race for such a long time, their cultivation must have improved greatly, right? Not long after, Lin Feng inquired about the fire Qilin. It was mainly because the fire Qilin was too high profile. Not long after entering the heavenly illusory land, the fire Qilin had a conflict with the experts of the 4 great immortal sects. At that time, the experts of the 4 great immortal sects led a large group of people to besiege the fire Qilin. As a result, the fire Qilin suffered a big loss. However, the fire Qilin's luck was not bad. Although it was besieged by the experts of the 4 great immortal sects, the fire Qilin still managed to escape. Later on, the fire Qilin had a fortuitous encounter in the heavenly illusory land, and its cultivation improved by a lot. Lin Feng knew the fire Qilin's character too well. This guy was never one to suffer a loss. Therefore, after the fire Qilin's cultivation improved by a large margin, it wanted to take revenge, so it went to find the cultivators of the 4 great immortal sects. The composition of the cultivators of the 4 great immortal sects was actually quite special. In addition to the cultivators cultivated by the four great immortal sects, there were also many cultivators who were attached to the four great immortal sects. The four great immortal sects were huge, and the disciples inside were also scheming against each other, so they were divided into many small groups. In fact, this kind of thing was very common. Not to mention the disciples of the four great immortal sects, even the seven great ancestral lands of the demon clan were fighting openly and secretly. There were also many dirty things in private. However, one thing was very certain. That was, although they were fighting fiercely on the surface, they were still relatively united when facing against outsiders. It was the same when the four great immortal sects dealt with the cultivators of the demon clan. Although they had many dirty things in private, they were united when dealing with the demon clan. The Fire Qilin had been following the cultivators of the four great immortal sects. When the cultivators of the four great immortal sects went to snatch some opportunities, the Fire Qilin would appear. The Fire Qilin was very good at timing. Generally, it would appear when the cultivators of the four great immortal sects were exhausted and had solved all the problems. It was about to enjoy the fruits of victory. So many opportunities of the four great immortal sects were snatched by the Fire Qilin. If the cultivators of the four great immortal sects dared to resist, the Fire Qilin would not be polite and directly threw all kinds of powerful divine abilities at them. Many experts of the four great immortal sects were killed by the Fire Qilin. The Fire Qilin's continuous crimes attracted the attention of the four great immortal sects. Chapter 5078. The Fire Qilin has always been brave, but the four great immortal sects can't be underestimated. They have a lot of strong cultivators. If the Fire Qilin doesn't get surrounded by the cultivators of the four great immortal sects, he'll be in trouble. Lin Feng said. Feng Yarao said, the Fire Qilin has always liked to make a big fuss, but the people of the four major immortal sects are really abominable. They are very cruel to the cultivators of the demon race. They don't want to leave any land for the demon race to survive. If it wasn't for the seven great ancestral lands being so strong, the four major immortal sects would have launched a large-scale war and the ancient demon domain would have fallen. Lin Feng agreed with Feng Yaorao's words. It was indeed as Feng Yaorao had said. The four major immortal sects wanted to destroy the demon race's ancestral land. If they could do this, they would be greatly rewarded by the Heavenly Emperor. However, it was too difficult to do this, especially now that the experts of the demon race's ancestral land had appeared. It was even more difficult to destroy the demon race's ancestral land. Of course, although it was difficult, the four major immortal sects were strong. Even if they couldn't destroy the demon race's ancestral land, they wouldn't let the demon race's ancestral land continue to grow. Their mission was to resist and restrain the demon race's ancestral land. If they couldn't do this, the four major immortal sects would face the crisis of destruction. The Heavenly Emperor didn't support them to cultivate a few ungrateful forces. Therefore, the four great immortal sects kept provoking and waging war against the demon race's ancestral land. Many cultivators from the demon race's ancestral land had died at the hands of the four great immortal sects. Of course, the four great immortal sects had also lost their lives to the cultivators from the demon race's ancestral land. The reason why the four great immortal sects were so aggressive towards the Fire Qilin wasn't just because the Fire Qilin had angered them. There was another crucial factor. The Fire Qilin was a cultivator of the demon race from the 9 continents' great world. As everyone knew, the cultivators of the 9 continents' great world were different from the cultivators of other worlds. The cultivators of this world had greater talent, potential, and luck. Therefore, the cultivators of this world, many cultivators regarded them as heaven's chosen cultivators. Especially the cultivators with great talent, they were valued by many forces. The Fireball Qilin's personality was rather high profile. With great talent and strength, his future was limitless. Therefore, the people from the four great immortal sects wanted to kill the Fire Qilin before it fully matured. If it was delayed for a few more years, it would be extremely difficult to kill the Fire Qilin when its strength had completely grown. This point, the cultivators of the four major immortal sects had reached a consensus. Therefore, the establishment of the anti-Fire Qilin alliance was a matter of course. Lin Feng, Little Rock King, and Feng Yaorao searched for the fire Qilin's whereabouts. This fellow was really good at hiding. After searching for a long time, they still couldn't find him. He didn't know where the fire Qilin was hiding. That day, Lin Feng and the other two heard that a huge stone pagoda had appeared near the jade pool. The stone pagoda was very extraordinary. So many cultivators were heading towards the lake of jade. Even the cultivators of the four major immortal sects who were searching for the fire Qilin could no longer be bothered with it. They all headed towards the jade pool to search for opportunities. After hearing about the stone pagoda, Lin Feng, Little Rock King, and Feng Yaorao also flew towards the jade pool. Lin Feng knew the fire Qilin's character too well. The fire Qilin would definitely go to the jade pool. Of course, whether or not it would appear depended on the specific situation at the jade pool. The fire Qilin wasn't stupid. If the jade pool was too dangerous, this fellow would probably leave after taking a look. The fire Qilin was very clear about when to show off and when to keep a low profile. When Lin Feng and the other two arrived at the jade pool, a large number of cultivators had already gathered in the area. There were cultivators from the four major immortal sects, Demon Clan, and many cultivators from the four major immortal sects and Demon Clan. In addition, there were also some itinerant cultivators. The jade pool was an extremely huge pool of water that covered an area of dozens of miles. Ripples of light rippled in the pool. At the center of the pool, there was a huge stone pagoda. Only a part of the stone pagoda was exposed outside. Most of the pagoda was at the bottom of the pool. When he saw the stone pagoda, Lin Feng was also surprised because he felt that the stone pagoda was really extraordinary. Many cultivators tried to get close to the stone pagoda, but when they were about 15 miles away, their bodies fell into the pool. The sky was restricted. Many people were shocked. The stone pagoda had restricted the space within 15 miles. Cultivators couldn't fly in a restricted area, so it was impossible for them to fly to the stone pagoda. Heavens, that's... Suddenly, a cultivator cried out in surprise. The cultivator who cried out pointed to the depths of the pool. Everyone looked over, and their expressions changed drastically. Many ferocious beasts were rushing out from the depths of the pool. They didn't know what they were, but they were unbelievably fast. The ferocious beasts in the water quickly swam towards the cultivators who had fallen into the pool. Some cultivators on the shore warned them that powerful ferocious beasts were approaching. The expressions of the cultivators in the pool changed drastically, and they all swam towards the outside. When they were 15 miles away from the stone pagoda, they wanted to soar into the sky and quickly leave the area, but they found that they still couldn't fly. The stone pagoda's range is continuously increasing, a cultivator said. Many people nodded in agreement. The stone pagoda was really terrifying. How far could it restrict the space? The stone pagoda hadn't been in the world for a long time, so it wasn't used to the outside world yet. If the stone pagoda could adapt to the outside world, then the range of the stone pagoda's confinement would continue to increase. At that moment, the ferocious beasts had already reached the cultivators who had fallen into the pool. The cultivators started fighting with the ferocious beasts, but the ferocious beasts were too strong. They directly dragged the cultivators into the water. Not long after, blood splattered everywhere. It was obvious that the cultivators had already died. What powerful ferocious beasts! If we want to go over, we'll have to rely on powerful ships. Ordinary ships won't be able to withstand the attacks of those ferocious beasts. A cultivator said. Many people agreed with this statement. Ordinary ships definitely wouldn't be able to withstand the attacks of those ferocious beasts. Once the ship was destroyed and the cultivators fell into the pool, they wouldn't be able to fight against those ferocious beasts. At that time, they would definitely die. Later, there will probably be some cultivators taking out some top-notch spirit ships and heading towards the stone pagoda. Lin Feng said. Feng Yaorao said, "What about us? What should we do? Should we take our own ship or take someone else's ship?" Lin Feng said, "If we take our own ship, we'll be a big target. It'll be easy for the ferocious beasts to attack us. It's better to take someone else's ship. Those ferocious beasts are definitely intelligent, so they won't easily attack a ship with a lot of people." Little Peng King said, "Right? I think so too." The three of them reached an agreement and waited for the cultivators from the major factions to take out their spirit ships. Chapter 5079. There weren't many top-grade spirit ships that could withstand the attacks of fierce beasts, only 10 in total. Some of them were spirit ships taken out by the demon race cultivators, while some were spirit ships taken out by the cultivators of the 4 great immortal sects. Now, in the face of benefits, these demon race cultivators and the cultivators of the 4 great immortal sects temporarily put aside all their grudges. They wanted to make a fortune first. Therefore, the 1,000 immortal stones per person to board the ship was something that they had agreed upon together. The ship owners had a good relationship with their fellow sect members, which was why their attitude was so tough. Some of their fellow cultivators went forward to plead for them, hoping to board the ship for free. But in the end, they were all rejected. Those cultivators began to curse the other party in their hearts. They didn't even care about their friendship. They were just short of cursing the other party's 18 generations of ancestors. The world of cultivators had always been like this. Don't talk about friendship. This was a place where benefits mattered. Therefore, talking about friendship wouldn't work here. If one wanted to board the ship, they would have to obediently pay the immortal stones. These immortal stones naturally weren't a big number for Lin Feng. Lin Feng took out 3,000 immortal stones and boarded a spirit ship with Little Pang King and Feng Yaorao. This spirit ship belonged to a demon race cultivator. However, there weren't only demon race cultivators on board. There were also cultivators from the 4 great forces. There were also some rogue cultivators and cultivators from the 4 great forces. After Lin Feng and the other 2 boarded the ship, they walked towards the cabin. This spirit ship was divided into 5 floors. The construction was quite luxurious. It was a very powerful ship. Lin Feng and the other 2 rested in the cabin of the spirit ship, while many cultivators boarded the spirit ship one after another. There were about 400 people on the floor where Lin Feng and the other 2 were. Including the cultivators on the other floors, this spirit ship had about 2,000 people. There were also many people on the other spirit ships. The spirit ship didn't have an unlimited number of passengers. When the number of people was about enough, the spirit ship started to move. The cultivators who didn't board the ship in time were quite depressed. They could only continue to wait outside and see if anyone could take out a top-grade spirit ship to carry everyone to the stone tower. Some cultivators came here one after another, but they were the same as the others. They couldn't board a single spirit ship and could only wait for someone to take out a new spirit ship. The cultivators on the ship were excitedly discussing the origin of the stone tower and what kind of good items could be inside. Many people became excited and wanted to obtain the treasures inside right now. I just saw a few people looking in our direction, said Lin Feng. Feng Yaorao said. Little Pang King nodded and asked, are they the ones standing at the entrance of the cabin? Yes. Feng Yaorao nodded. The Little Rock King replied, they're from the Immortal Heaven sect. They're enemies, not friends. However, since we're on the spirit ship, they probably won't cause any trouble. Don't bother with these clowns, Lin Feng said casually. Feng Yaorao chuckled and said, those people are all famous people. But now, you're saying that they're clowns. If they knew about this, they would be angered to death. If they die from anger, they'll have one less scourge to worry about. If one day, I really cultivate to the point where I can anger a group of experts to death with a single sentence, I'll probably be worshipped by countless people. There will definitely be many people who want to learn this ability from me. I don't even need to do anything. I just need to open my mouth and kill a group of experts. Just thinking about it makes me very excited. Lin Feng said with a smile. If there's really such an ability, I'll definitely learn it well. Feng Yaorao said. The cultivators quickly left. However, not long after, they turned back. When they returned, they brought a group of cultivators with them. The group of cultivators was led by a young man. When the young man appeared, many people went up to greet him. When she saw him, Feng Yaorao's expression became extremely unsightly. Lin Feng noticed the change in Feng Yaorao's expression and couldn't help but ask, who's that guy? Young Master Xian Yun, Feng Yaorao said. As if she was worried that Lin Feng didn't know who young Master Xian Yun was, she added, his elder brother is young Master Xian Yu of 9 Underworld's Devil Palace. Young Master Xian Yu was very famous. Naturally, everyone knew about him. In fact, young Master Xian Yun was also an extremely terrifying existence. During the Undying Realms 10 Heroes Arena battle, young Master Xin Yu fought his way into the top 10, while young Master Xin Yuan was ranked 18th. This was an extremely high ranking, so young Master Xin Yuan also successfully obtained the qualifications to cultivate in the Heaven Realm. If young Master Xin Yuan had achieved such results in other factions, he would definitely have been written about. However, in 9 Underworld's Devil Palace, young Master Xin Yuan didn't receive the best resources. This was because there was still a powerful figure above him. Many of 9 Underworld's Devil Palace's top resources were given to young Master Xin Yu. Naturally, young Master Xin Yuan was extremely dissatisfied with this matter, but no matter how dissatisfied he was, there was nothing he could do. After all, young Master Xin Yu was even more heaven-defying. However, young Master Xin Yuan wasn't a simple person either. Although he was dissatisfied, he didn't show it. His ability to endure was very strong, and over the years, his relationship with young Master Xin Yu had been quite good. At the very least, their relationship was quite good on the surface. As for whether there were any private conflicts between them, no one knew. When young Master Xin Yu's body had developed a resistance to many of the top resources, young Master Xin Yuan thought to himself, "Is it finally my turn?" Just as he was feeling happy, young Master Shui Yu rose to prominence. As a result, those top resources were given to young Master Shui Yu. As a result, young Master Xin Yuan was a very unlucky person. He clearly had heaven-defying talent and strength, but he had been ruthlessly trampled by young Master Xin Yu and young Master Shui Yu. As for young Master Xin Yuan, Lin Feng's killing intent was extremely strong. When he heard that young Master Xin Yuan was spying on Feng Yaorao, and that Feng Yaorao had to take the risk of escaping into the Purple Mountain Range in the Time Cave to avoid his pursuit, Lin Feng already had the intention to kill young Master Xin Yuan. This guy even dared to have designs on Feng Yaorao. If he hadn't appeared in time, Feng Yaorao would have died. How could Lin Feng let young Master Xin Yuan off? Since he hadn't seen this person before, he naturally couldn't avenge Feng Yaorao. However, now, he actually saw young Master Xin Yuan on the spirit ship. Chapter 5080. Many people stood up to greet Xin Yuan. Xin Yuan's status was extremely high. Although the 9 Underworld's Devil Palace was a Devil Dao faction, it had a close relationship with the Heavenly Emperor. Perhaps because of this, the top disciples of the 9 Underworld's Devil Palace were very popular in the Undying World. Both the righteous and the righteous had to give them face. Xin Yuan was naturally one of these people. He was an existence that had connections with both the righteous and the righteous. He was an existence that countless people feared. He had quite a number of followers around him. There were even some beautiful female cultivators following behind him. It seemed that they were all Xin Yuan's women. In fact, Xin Yuan didn't lack women. The only reason he wanted Feng Yaorao was because it was new and exciting. After Feng Yaorao rejected him, instead, it aroused Xin Yuan's desire to conquer Feng Yaorao. It didn't matter if he used force or drugs. As long as he could achieve his goal, Xin Yuan had always been unscrupulous. A group of people quickly arrived at Lin Feng's side. Xin Yuan looked at Feng Yaorao and said, "I really didn't expect that you would be able to come out alive after hiding in the Time Cave. It seems like you obtained a great fortune here, right? Otherwise, how could you have come out alive so smoothly?" Feng Yaorao looked coldly at Xin Yuan and said, "Whether I obtained a great fortune or not, it doesn't seem to have anything to do with you." Xin Yuan immediately laughed and said, "Very interesting, very interesting. I like little chilies like you. If you're too obedient, I won't feel much for you. Feng Yaorao, if you agree to follow me, I can even make you my concubine. You should seize this opportunity. It's your honor to be able to become my concubine." Lin Feng rolled his eyes when he heard Xin Yuan's words. This guy was really full of himself. Where did he get his confidence from? Some of the cultivators in the surroundings began to discuss in whispers. Many people had clearly heard about Xin Yuan's previous actions. Now, Feng Yaorao was once again surrounded by Xin Yuan's group. Feng Yaorao had been lucky last time. She had escaped a calamity. But this time, she probably wouldn't be able to escape this calamity. Many people couldn't help but look at Feng Yaorao with pity. She was such a delicate beauty. He was actually about to be captured by young Master Xin Yuan. Everyone knew what would happen if Feng Yaorao fell into young Master Xin Yun's hands. If it was in the past, Feng Yaorao would naturally be very afraid of young Master Xin Yun. But now, Feng Yaorao wasn't afraid of young Master Xin Yun because Lin Feng was by her side. Although she didn't know how strong Lin Feng was, Feng Yaorao had heard a lot of legends about Lin Feng. Feng Yaorao knew that young Master Xin Yun was very powerful. Moreover, not long ago, Lin Feng had killed the formidable Flower of Time. Feng Yaorao was certain that young Master Xin Yun and the others weren't a match for Lin Feng. With Lin Feng protecting her, she naturally didn't need to be afraid of young Master Xin Yun. Therefore, Feng Yaorao directly scolded, "Why don't you take a piss and look at your own face? Who the hell are you? You actually dare to peep at your great aunt, me? Do you believe that I won't throw you down to feed the beasts later?" Many people were very surprised. They all knew how strong young Master Xin Yun was. Although Feng Yaorao was a cultivator from the 9 provinces, she hadn't cultivated for a long time. It was impossible for her to fight against young Master Xin Yun. Some people also knew the Little Pong King, but even with the Little Pong King's help, they still weren't a match for young Master Xin Yun. As for Lin Feng, they directly ignored him. No one knew who he was. Moreover, Lin Feng was too young. Moreover, he was a human cultivator who had declined long ago. Naturally, they wouldn't pay too much attention to him. The strength of Feng Yaorao's side and young Master Xin Yun's side were worlds apart. Even so, Feng Yaorao still dared to mock young Master Xin Yun. It was truly unimaginable and inconceivable. Young Master Xin Yun said, "Feng Yaorao, you are nothing but a broken shoe. You're not a pure girl. Therefore, you better not be shameless." Hearing young Master Xin Yun call her a broken shoe, Feng Yaorao's face instantly turned ugly. Feng Yaorao pulled a long face. Feng Yaorao and Lin Feng had already had sex a long time ago, but they were really in love. Prince Xin Yun's words were too immoral. Any woman would be extremely angry after hearing this, including Feng Yaorao. Lin Feng looked at young Master Xin Yun and said, "Young Master Xin Yun, I won't make things difficult for you. If you jump down yourself, I will let bygones be bygones. However, if you don't, I will cripple you and throw you off the ship." After hearing Lin Feng's words, everyone couldn't help but be slightly stunned. Even young Master Xin Yun was stunned. Clearly, he didn't expect Lin Feng to suddenly say something like this. Next, many of young Master Xin Yun's followers couldn't help but laugh. In those people's eyes, Lin Feng was just making fun of them. There was no need for young Master Xin Yun to take action. If they attacked, they could easily crush Lin Feng to death. The cultivators who were watching the show couldn't help but discuss spiritedly. Many of them said that Lin Feng must be crazy. In the eyes of the spectators, Lin Feng was simply trying to kill young Master Xin Yun. "It's actually him." At that moment, a cultivator in the crowd looked at Lin Feng in shock. This was because he recognized Lin Feng's identity. This cultivator was originally in another cabin. When he heard that there was a conflict here, he came over to watch the show. He was a lone cultivator. In the past, he had traveled to many places and had seen Lin Feng once in Little Western Paradise City. The scene of Lin Feng killing the 4 evil monks was still vivid in his mind. At that time, he didn't know Lin Feng's true identity. Everyone only knew that this young master was called Ji and that he was a top genius of the human race. However, later on, they found out that this young master was the famous Sinner's Blood Emperor, Lin Feng. Although he had only seen Lin Feng once, he knew that this young master was Lin Feng. However, this cultivator immediately recalled Lin Feng's identity. However, this cultivator didn't say anything. Instead, he stood in the crowd and continued to watch the show. At that moment, young Master Xin Yun looked at Lin Feng and said with disdain, "Ignorant fool, who do you think you are? How dare you shout in front of this young master? Men, cut off this kid's dog head for me." Chapter 5081. This person is from the 9 Nether Demon Palace. His name is Zhang Tianma, and his cultivation is also extremely terrifying. If he were to make a move, it wouldn't be difficult for him to kill that human cultivator, a cultivator said, recognizing the other party's identity. After hearing that this person was Zhang Tianma, many people sucked in a breath of cold air. Zhang Tianma was definitely a ruthless person. In fact, There were many ruthless people in the 9 Nether Demon Palace. Each of them had unfathomable strength, and Zhang Tianma was one of the best among them. Although his talent might not be comparable to young Master Xian Yu and young Master Shui Yu, his talent was also extremely powerful. Moreover, they had cultivated for a long time, so their accumulation and battle strength were also extremely shocking. Now, after knowing that the person in front of them was Zhang Tianma, many people looked at Lin Feng with pity. In their opinion, Lin Feng would soon die at Zhang Tianma's hands. Brat die. Zhang Tianma looked at Lin Feng with a sinister smile on his face. He punched towards Lin Feng. That terrifying punch contained unimaginable power. When they felt the power of that punch, many people's expressions couldn't help but change, because the power of that punch was indeed terrifying. At this moment, Lin Feng made his move. Lin Feng flicked his finger. Instantly, a sword chi flew out. Puff, accompanied by a tearing sound. That sword chi directly pierced through Zhang Tianma's body. Zhang Tianma's burly body was sent flying. When he fell to the ground, he was already dead. The whole cabin became silent in an instant. Zhang Tianma, such a powerful person, was actually killed in an instant. Shock, emotion, disbelief, and so on and so forth. Everyone's expression was very interesting. Only the 3 of them had a matter-of-fact look on their faces. Little Rock King and Feng Yaorao had 100% trust in Lin Feng. Therefore, they felt that the situation in front of them was too normal. In addition, there was also the cultivator who recognized Lin Feng's identity. When he saw Lin Feng kill Zhang Tianma in an instant, he couldn't help but think to himself, as expected, he expected all of this. To be able to kill Zhang Tianma, your ability is not ordinary. When did such a powerful person like you appear in the human race? Are you from the 9 provinces Great World as well? Young Master Xian Yun looked at Lin Feng with a gloomy expression. He wasn't a brainless cultivator. On the contrary, Zhang Tianma was an extremely smart and patient person. Therefore, when he saw Lin Feng instantly kill Zhang Tianma, young Master Xian Yun knew that Lin Feng was definitely a terrifying existence. It was best not to offend such a person. I don't need to tell you whether or not I'm a cultivator from the 9 provinces. My patience is limited, so you should know what to do now. Lin Feng said. Young Master Xian Yun said, I can apologize to you for what happened earlier. As the saying goes, it's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. Why don't we each take a step back and treat it as making friends? When everyone saw that young Master Xian Yun had actually chosen to take a step back, they felt that it was unbelievable. This was because those who knew young Master Xian Yun knew what kind of person he was. Young Master Xian Yun had never apologized to anyone before, but now, he was actually apologizing to this unknown human young master. This was completely unexpected. It seemed that even young Master Xian Yun knew that this human young master was not to be trifled with. That was why he chose to take a step back. The cultivators who were watching the show all looked at Lin Feng. They didn't know what Lin Feng would do. Most people felt that Lin Feng would make peace with this matter. After all, even if Lin Feng's cultivation was very strong, young Master Xian Yun wasn't weak either. Moreover, young Master Xian Yun had so many followers. Lin Feng only had 3 people on his side. It was naturally very easy to decide what to do. Young Master Xian Yun had already given Lin Feng a way out. Now, it was up to Lin Feng to choose. Lin Feng sneered. You've made a huge mistake, yet you're still acting so self-righteous? You really think too highly of yourself? Young Master Xian Yu and young Master Shui, you don't dare to be so presumptuous in front of me. You can't even compare to young Master Xian Yu and young Master Shui Yu. Yet you dare to be so presumptuous in front of me? How laughable and ignorant. When Lin Feng said that, Lin Feng's expression changed. Everyone was extremely shocked because Lin Feng's words were simply too arrogant. Who were young Master Xian Yu and young Master Shui Yu? They were all top-notch existences among the young cultivators of the Undying Realm. Their cultivation had long been on par with many experts with a strong foundation. They were the absolute geniuses of their era. They suppressed cultivators of the same level to the point that they couldn't raise their heads. But now, Lin Feng actually dared to say that even powerful existences like young Master Xian Yu and young Master Shui, you wouldn't dare to be so presumptuous in front of him. What kind of arrogance did he have to be to dare to say such words? Does that brat know what he's saying? A cultivator asked as he looked at Lin Feng mockingly. Lin Feng was so young. No matter how strong he was, there was still a limit, right? Therefore, no matter how strong Lin Feng was, no one would think that Lin Feng could compete with young Master Xian Yu and young Master Shui Yu. There are more and more cultivators who like to brag these days. You'll get slapped in the face. Another cultivator said mockingly. Clearly, he was mocking Lin Feng for bragging. Brat, do you know what you're saying? Young Master Xian Yun looked at Lin Feng indifferently. Lin Feng walked step by step toward young Master Xian Yun and said, I can't be bothered to talk nonsense with you. I'll cripple you right now and throw you down. I want to see what 9 Underworld Devil Palace can do to me. Many people were shocked. After all, Lin Feng wasn't afraid of young Master Xian Yun. In fact, he even dared to provoke 9 Underworld Devil Palace. Lin Feng didn't look like someone with a brain problem. If he was a normal person, he wouldn't have said such a thing. This meant that Lin Feng had absolute confidence in himself. Now, many cultivators felt that they had underestimated Lin Feng. Attack together. Capture him alive. I'll cut him into 1,000 pieces later, young Master Xian Yun said indifferently. Said Prince Xian Yun indifferently. The others immediately threw themselves at Lin Feng. There were more than 30 cultivators in total, and they were all young Master Xian Yun's followers. Most of them were from 9 Underworld Devil Palace. There were also some cultivators who were affiliated with 9 Underworld Devil Palace. There was no lack of extremely powerful people among them. Now, a group of cultivators charged toward Huang Xiaolong. Lin Feng didn't even bother with them. He continued walking toward young Master Xian Yun. When the cultivators got close to Lin Feng, they couldn't withstand the invisible pressure emitted by Lin Feng. Thump, thump, one cultivator after another. Chapter 5082. Heavens, there are so many experts here, but they can't even withstand the pressure emitted by that young master. That young master didn't deliberately release his pressure, but it's already so strong. If he deliberately released his pressure, how strong would he be? Yeah, he's too strong. It's unbelievable. The surrounding cultivators cried out in alarm when they saw the cultivators kneeling on the ground. Lin Feng hadn't even made a move, but a trace of his pressure was already unbearable for so many experts. If he made a move, it would definitely shock the heavens and earth. The cultivators kneeling on the ground looked at Lin Feng in horror. Lin Feng's strength had deeply shocked them. Now, their hearts were filled with endless fear. They were worried that Lin Feng would kill them. Spare us, spare us. The group of cultivators begged Lin Feng for mercy. If their bodies weren't restrained, they would definitely kowtow to Lin Feng and apologize. These cultivators were usually high and mighty figures with great strength and arrogance, but in front of Lin Feng, they were like stray dogs. Get out. Lin Feng's voice was indifferent as he waved his sleeve. In an instant, the group of cultivators kneeling on the ground were sent flying. Plop, plop. Those people all fell into the pool. Next, the ferocious beasts wandering around the spirit ship were like cats that had smelled blood. They quickly rushed over and attacked the cultivators. One cultivator after another hastily brought out their magic treasures to fight against the ferocious beasts. However, the ferocious beasts were simply too strong. While the cultivators and the beasts were fighting, the cultivators were dragged into the water by the beasts one after another. Blood flowed in the pool. It was obvious that the group of cultivators had died in the pool. Dead, they're all dead. The cultivators outside cried out in alarm. Once they left the spirit ship and entered the pool, there was almost no chance of survival. After all, this was a world where flying was forbidden. Once a cultivator couldn't fly, they would be greatly restricted. Anytime, anywhere. All of them could face the crisis of death. Therefore, until now, none of the cultivators who fell into the pool survived. All of them died under the attacks of the ferocious beasts. They became food for the ferocious beasts. How pitiful. In the cabin, Lin Feng walked towards young Master Xian Yun. It's your turn, Lin Feng said indifferently. Young Master Xian Yun's face was incomparably gloomy. Lin Feng was truly too powerful. He even felt it. Lin Feng could not compare to Xin Yu and Shui Yu. The gap shouldn't be too big. As for him, he was probably no match for Lin Feng. Don't go too far, young Master Xin Yun said in a deep voice. After hearing young Master Xin Yun's words, many people felt a little strange. Because a powerful figure like young Master Xin Yun was usually the one who bullied others. When had he ever been bullied by others? But now, young Master Xin Yun actually said something like, "Don't go too far," to someone else. Clearly, young Master Xin Yun was in an extremely bad mood. He had no other choice. That was why he said those words. That was the rule of survival in the world of cultivators. The strong were high and mighty. They dominated everything. The weak, they were destined to be trampled under the feet of the strong. In the world of cultivators, even if one was strong, one shouldn't be too arrogant. One shouldn't bully and humiliate others casually. That was because one didn't know if there was an even stronger person behind the other party. Young Master Xin Yun thought that no one would dare to offend him because of his powerful cultivation and the netherworld devil palace behind him. Therefore, he could do whatever he wanted. However, he didn't expect Feng Yaorao to have such a strong person behind her, Lin Feng. Although he regretted it now, it was too late. When you bully others, have you ever thought of this situation? Lin Feng said indifferently. He sent a palm strike towards young Master Xin Yun. Young Master Xin Yun didn't dare to be careless. He also sent a palm strike towards Lin Feng. Bang! Along with the sound of the violent collision, there was a loud bang. Young Master Xin Yun and Lin Feng collided again. Young Master Xin Yun was sent flying like a kite with a broken string. Many people's eyes nearly popped out when they saw this scene. Young Master Xin Yun wasn't a match for young Master Xin Yu and young Master Shui Yu. However, young Master Xin Yun was also a terrifying existence who could fight against a true immortal. However, in front of Lin Feng, he couldn't even block a single move. This was too unbelievable. What was Lin Feng's cultivation level? He was actually so terrifying. When they thought of Lin Feng's combat strength, young Master Xin Yun, there was a feeling of horror in their hearts. Just you wait. I won't let you off. Young Master Xin Yun looked coldly at Lin Feng. He quickly rushed outside. This guy jumped straight into the pool and swam towards the outside. Young Master Xin Yun jumped in. Damn, it's really young Master Xin Yun. What happened? Why did young Master Xin Yun jump in? The cultivators on the other spirit ships saw young Master Xin Yun jump into the pool. They all had puzzled expressions on their faces. The pool was so dangerous. Jumping in was simply courting death. There must have been a conflict, and the person who had the conflict with young Master Xin Yun must be very powerful. That's why young Master Xin Yun was forced to jump in. At that moment, a cultivator spoke up. Many people couldn't help but nod in agreement when they heard what the cultivator said. This point of view, it was acknowledged by everyone. Come quickly and let me wait for the ship. I'll definitely reward you handsomely when the time comes. Young Master Xin Yun shouted loudly, wanting the other ship owners to save him. However, the other ship owners weren't fools. They couldn't imagine how powerful the person who could force young Master Xin Yun to jump off the ship was. If they saved young Master Xin Yun, wouldn't they offend that mysterious expert? If that expert bore a grudge against them, they might even lose their lives. Therefore, when the other ship owners heard young Master Xin Yun's cry for help, not only did they not save young Master Xin Yun, but they also looked like they were watching a show. Young Master Xin Yun's expression turned extremely ugly when he saw that no ship owners came to save him. At that moment, terrifying beasts quickly pounced in young Master Xin Yun's direction. Those beasts are coming. I'm afraid young Master Xin Yun is dead for sure. Chapter 5083. That fellow isn't a good person. He deserved to die. Someone said gloatingly. They didn't have a good impression of young Master Xin Yun. That guy was so full of himself before, but now he's in such a state. It's really satisfying. A cultivator from the Yao clan said. He didn't feel any sympathy for young Master Xin Yun. He wanted nothing more than for young Master Xin Yun to die quickly. After all, 9 Underworld's Demon Palace had a good relationship with the Heavenly Emperor. They didn't have a good relationship with the Yao race. Thus, The Yao cultivators definitely wouldn't appreciate young Master Xian Yun's kindness. I heard that Feng Yaorao, Little Pong King, and a human cultivator boarded the ancient ship. Young Master Xian Yun had evil thoughts about Feng Yaorao and tried to surround her, but she managed to escape. In order to avoid young Master Xian Yun's pursuit, Feng Yaorao even fled to the mountain range where Time Cave is located. I originally thought that Feng Yaorao would die in there, but I didn't expect her to come out alive. My guess is that young Master Xian Yun might have seen Feng Yaorao and the others on the spirit ship. I wonder if young Master Xian Yun's decision to jump off the ship is related to Feng Yaorao and the others? A cultivator spoke up, speculating about the possible course of events that happened. I also saw Feng Yaorao and the others. However, although Little Pong King and Feng Yaorao's cultivation bases are quite good, they are definitely not a match for young Master Xian Yun. As for the other person, he is a young human cultivator. That young human cultivator is even less likely to be a match for young Master Xian Yun. Thus, my guess is that young Master Xian Yun's decision to jump off the ship has nothing to do with Feng Yaorao and the others. Or perhaps, young Master Xian Yun offended someone he couldn't afford to offend? The cultivators on the other spirit ships were guessing the reason for young Master Xian Yun's decision to jump off the ship. The cultivators on the spirit ship Lin Feng looked at Lin Feng with reverence. Many female cultivators looked at Lin Feng affectionately. Lin Feng was simply too strong. Male cultivators revered him and female cultivators admired him. In this world where the strong were revered, a young, handsome, and powerful cultivator like Lin Feng was simply a killer of female cultivators. With a flick of his finger, a group of beautiful female cultivators would come over. For example, there were many beautiful female cultivators on the spirit ship. He looked at Lin Feng. It was like a big bad wolf looking at a little lamb. At this moment, those ferocious beasts had already swum to young Master Xian Yun's side and started attacking him. Young Master Xian Yun took out a battle spear and fought with the beasts. Not long after, the corpses of the ferocious beasts appeared one after another. Those ferocious beasts were all killed by young Master Xian Yun. Young Master Xian Yun. He was really powerful. Soon, the dead ferocious beasts were dragged into the water by other ferocious beasts. The ferocious beasts then ate the corpses of the dead ferocious beasts. Many people couldn't help but mutter. This kind of fierce beast was truly ferocious. They even ate the flesh of creatures of the same race. It could be seen how inhumane these beasts were. Although young Master Xian Yun was powerful, there were simply too many ferocious beasts. After killing more than 10 ferocious beasts, young Master Xian Yun was still dragged into the water by a ferocious beast. Then, there was no more movement in that area. Young Master Xian Yun couldn't have been eaten by a ferocious beast, right? A cultivator said, "That can't be. He's an existence that can fight against a true immortal. Did he die just like that?" Someone said in disbelief. Another cultivator said, "What's so impossible about that? Those ferocious beasts are simply too powerful. Although their individual combat strength is inferior to young Master Xian Yun's, there are simply too many of them. With so many ferocious beasts attacking young Master Xian Yun together, young Master Xian Yun would have a hard time dealing with them. Not to mention, young Master Xian Yun's movements are greatly restricted in the pool. Young Master Xian Yun's combat strength can't be fully unleashed. Therefore, it's not surprising that those ferocious beasts were able to kill young Master Xian Yun." This cultivator's words won the approval of many people. After young Master Xian Yun was dragged into the water, there was no more movement. This was the best proof. "Guys, look over there." At that moment, a cultivator pointed to a spot in the distance. That area was more than 1,000 meters away from the shore. Numerous ferocious beasts' corpses floated out. There were nearly 100 ferocious beasts' corpses floating on the surface of the water. A cultivator floated out of the pool and quickly swam towards the shore. In the distance, many ferocious beasts surged over and pounced towards that cultivator. However, that cultivator's swimming speed was extremely fast. It wouldn't take long for him to reach the shore. At that time, those ferocious beasts wouldn't be able to do anything to him. That cultivator was none other than young Master Xian Yun. He was none other than young Master Xian Yun, who was dragged into the water by the ferocious beasts. That guy actually didn't die. Naturally, after a series of battles, young Master Xin Yun's injuries were also quite serious. However, these injuries were nothing to young Master Xin Yun. He would be able to recover quickly. As expected of young Master Xin Yun, back then, he went to the celestial realm to cultivate for a period of time. His cultivation is truly formidable. He actually managed to kill so many ferocious beasts in the water. Young Master Xin Yun's combat strength is definitely not something an ordinary true immortal can compare to. Some cultivators sighed emotionally. He's really strong. Such strength at such a young age. His future is limitless. Another cultivator chimed in. Someone said, no matter how strong young Master Xin Yun is, wasn't he still forced to jump off the boat? Many people smiled bitterly. It was indeed as that cultivator had said. Young Master Xin Yun was strong. He was forced to jump off the boat. Many people felt like their hearts were being scratched by a cat. They really wanted to know, who exactly was it? Who forced young Master Xin Yun into such a state? At this moment, young Master Xin Yun's eyes were filled with excitement as he looked at the shore getting closer and closer. He was finally about to reach the shore. Young Master Xin Yun couldn't help but think to himself that when he recovered, he would definitely find an expert. He would capture Lin Feng. Then, he would ruthlessly torture Lin Feng. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to vent his hatred. The ferocious beasts behind him were very fast, but they could no longer catch up to young Master Xin Yun. Finally, young Master Xin Yun rushed to the shore. He hurriedly climbed up. When those ferocious beasts saw young Master Xin Yun coming ashore, they couldn't help but roar angrily. However, those ferocious beasts couldn't reach the shore. In the end, they turned back. A group of ferocious beasts quickly swam towards the ferocious beast corpses floating in the pool. They couldn't eat young Master Xin Yun. They could only eat the corpses of their companions. Young Master Xin Yun glared at the spirit ship that Lin Feng was on with hatred. Then, he turned around and left. However, at this moment, a sword chi flew out from the void. Then, it slashed towards young Master Xin Yun. Young Master Xin Yun's expression changed drastically. He wanted to dodge, but the sword chi was simply too fast. Young Master Xin Yun didn't have time to dodge the sword chi's attack. Pooh! In the next moment, young Master Xin Yun's head was chopped off by the sword chi. Blood. Chapter 5084. Dead. Young Noble Xin Yun is dead. Who killed young Noble Xin Yun? Was it the cultivator who forced young Master Xin Yun to jump off the spirit ship who killed him? Daring to kill young Noble Xin Yun? How audacious! Nine Nether Devil Palace isn't a simple power. Anyone who dares to offend them won't have a good ending. Isn't that so? Nine Nether Devil Palace is terrifying. Anyone who offends them will die. But now, not only did that cultivator offend Nine Nether Devil Palace, he even killed young Noble Xin Yun. How audacious! After seeing young Noble Xin Yun's death, many people couldn't help but discuss. His death caused a huge commotion mainly because his identity was too sensitive. Among the younger generation of Nine Nether Devil Palace, young Noble Xin Yun could be considered the number 3, second only to young Noble Xin Yu and young Noble Shui Yu. However, now that young Master Xin Yun was killed just like that, everyone knew that the Nine Nether Devil Palace would never let this matter rest. This force was originally a Devil Dao force and had always been ruthless. It was fine if they killed others, but if the cultivators of their sect were killed, the Nine Nether Devil Palace would definitely launch a crazy revenge. Lin Feng's ship was very different from the others. The cultivators on the other ships were discussing this matter, but Lin Feng's ship was very quiet. No one spoke because they were worried that they would say the wrong thing and anger Lin Feng. They didn't know Lin Feng very well. Lin Feng wasn't a bloodthirsty person. However, Lin Feng wouldn't show mercy to those who went too far. Of course, in fact, the cultivators on the ship didn't see Lin Feng kill young Noble Xin Yun. However, they knew that it was definitely Lin Feng's doing. Perhaps it was because Lin Feng was too strong. He could kill young Noble Xin Yun without anyone noticing. This was how terrifying and powerful Lin Feng was. After killing young Noble Xin Yun, Lin Feng returned to his original seat as if nothing had happened. Many people wanted to befriend Lin Feng. However, they didn't know Lin Feng's temper. Thus, they didn't dare to rashly disturb Lin Feng. The ship quickly moved deeper into the sea. There were still many powerful, fierce beasts following behind the ship, ready to attack any cultivators who fell into the water. However, they didn't attack the ship. It seemed that the intelligence of those beasts was extremely high. They knew that they couldn't break through the ship's defenses, so they didn't do such useless things. 3 days later, the ship arrived Xian Nether Devil Palace. Xianyun. It extended for 10 miles. It formed a special kind of energy that prevented cultivators from moving forward. If they dared to approach the stone tower, that special energy would cause great damage to cultivators. A spirit ship tried to approach. However, the spirit ship suffered a heavy blow. The defensive restrictions of the spirit ship were almost destroyed. If they hadn't retreated quickly, the spirit ship would definitely have been destroyed. When the time came, the cultivators on the spirit ship would probably die under the claws of the fierce beasts in the pool. Lin Feng, Little Rock King, and Feng Yaorao came outside and looked at the stone tower. When they saw the many pictures on the stone tower, Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. There were densely packed pictures carved on the stone tower. Upon closer inspection, those pictures were actually formed by countless skull patterns. It was extremely strange. Is this the stone tower left behind by the demons? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. He felt that perhaps it was really the stone tower left behind by the demons. Because how could a stone tower left behind by a normal cultivator have so many skull runes carved on it? Those skeletal runes were simply too bizarre. Lin Feng tried to comprehend those skull runes, but there was an invisible force blocking Lin Feng from sensing those skull runes. Lin Feng couldn't sense the skull runes. This made him very surprised. Demon Lord, what do you think of that stone tower? Lin Feng sent a voice transmission to the Demon Lord. Lin Feng didn't get a reply from the Demon Lord. It seemed that the Demon Lord was still in seclusion. When the Demon Lord was in seclusion, he would cut off his connection with the outside world. Therefore, the Demon Lord couldn't hear Lin Feng's voice transmission. Sacred Martin Immortal, do you know the stone tower? Asked Lin Feng telepathically. He felt that the Sacred Martin Immortal was knowledgeable and might know some secrets of the stone tower. I don't know. The Sacred Martin Immortal's answer was very simple. Lin Feng pursed his lips. He didn't pay any more attention to it. It's the evil ancestor's tower. At that moment, a voice suddenly rang out in Lin Feng's mind. It was the Supreme Demon Iron's voice. It had awakened. Lin Feng asked with interest, Evil Ancestor's Tower? Was it forged by a certain evil ancestor? Evil ancestor, evil god. Were they all titled gods? The titled gods of the era. Generations of evil ancestors and evil gods had passed down this titled god. It was passed down, but in the end, it was still destroyed in the immemorial era. Titled god? Since then, it had become history. However, whether it was the evil ancestor or evil god, they had all been glorious in the past. The things they had left behind must have been incomparably heaven-defying. For example, the stone tower in front of him gave Lin Feng a feeling that it was very extraordinary. It should be something left behind by the second or third generation evil ancestor. I don't know the specifics, but I've heard people talk about the stone tower in the past. Rumor has it that the evil ancestor died, and his blood spilled all over the stone tower. From then on, the stone tower has a spirit, and it seems to be looking for its master. Whenever it appears, it will appear again. The stone tower is looking for its master? Lin Feng was very surprised. Yes, the Supreme Demon Iron said, the stone tower was a top-grade stone tool in the past, and after devouring the evil ancestor's blood, it must have undergone a transformation. Its current power is probably many times greater than when it was at its peak. If you can obtain the evil ancestor's stone tower, it will definitely be a heaven-defying aid. Lin Feng nodded. He naturally agreed with the Supreme Demon Iron's words. Lin Feng naturally agreed. He just didn't know who would obtain the stone tower in the end. If possible, Lin Feng also wanted to obtain the stone tower, but Lin Feng knew that it wasn't something he could obtain just because he wanted to. He needed the stone tower's approval. Chapter 5085. In the next few days, many spirit ships arrived one after another. After those spirit ships arrived, they all stopped in the periphery. It seems that the number of cultivators who heard about the stone pagoda was not small. Lin Feng also didn't know if the fire Qilin had mixed in with one of the spirit ships. The fire Qilin had a formidable cultivation and was proficient in transformation techniques. If it used its transformation technique to mix in with some of the spirit ships, it could easily cover the sky and the sea. Wanting to find the whereabouts of the fire Qilin would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. As for the whereabouts of Little Moon and Princess Shuiyao, Lin Feng was also very concerned about them. He hoped that the two of them had also come here. At that time, he would be able to meet them here. Of course, it would be a very happy thing. 10 days later, hundreds of spirit ships had already gathered here. The number of cultivators who came here was really high. At this time, another spirit ship rushed over from the distance. The surface area of this spirit ship was not particularly large, only about a dozen meters long. Such a spirit ship attracted the attention of many vicious beasts. Many vicious beasts rushed towards the spirit ship and then slammed into the spirit ship, wanting to destroy the spirit ship. But at this time, the spirit ship swept out an extremely terrifying light beam and bombarded the vicious beasts. Puff, puff. The sound of flesh tearing came out. Many of the vicious beasts besieging the spirit ship suffered serious injuries. The bodies of those spirit beasts were torn apart. Blood suddenly dyed the pool red. Many vicious beasts died, but many vicious beasts also escaped with injuries. Seeing the terrifying power of the spirit ship, many people felt very surprised. What a powerful spirit ship! They didn't know who had forged it. Lin Feng couldn't help but raise his eyebrows slightly. This spirit ship was much more powerful than his Xinyuan ancient starry sky ship. But in fact, today, Lin Feng's Xinyuan ancient starry sky ship was no longer the top spirit ship. Of course, this didn't mean that the Xinyuan ancient starry sky ship wasn't powerful enough. In fact, it was still very powerful. Even if it couldn't enter the ranks of the top spirit ships, it could still enter the second rank. The materials used to construct the Xinyuan ancient starry sky ship were very high grade. The main reason was that the array formations on it weren't strong enough. Many of the array formations had already been damaged. The main reason was because of its age. After Lin Feng broke through to the true immortal realm, he would add new array formations to the Xinyuan ancient starry sky ship. At this moment, the spirit ship directly rushed towards the stone pagoda. After seeing this scene, many cultivators couldn't help but frown. A strange and terrifying power enveloped the area around the stone tower. Any magic weapon, cultivator, or anything else that dared to approach that area would suffer an extremely fierce attack. Rashly approaching would not end well. However, the spirit ship had directly rushed over. Its target was extremely clear. It seemed that the master of the spirit ship was extremely confident in his ability to deal with it. Could that spirit ship really contend against the strange and terrifying power around the stone pagoda? Lin Feng didn't think so. As for the rest of the cultivators, they also didn't think so. At this moment, the spirit ship rushed into the area covered by the strange and terrifying power. A flag flew out from the spirit ship. It was a flag with a skull drawn on it. By now, the flag looked somewhat shabby. However, when the flag flew out, something unbelievable happened. The strange and terrifying power that lingered around the stone pagoda did not attack the spirit ship. After seeing this, many people looked as though they had seen a ghost. That broken flag is related to the stone pagoda. A cultivator immediately said. Indeed, that flag should be related to the stone pagoda. This was also the reason why the strange and terrifying power surrounding the stone pagoda didn't attack the spirit ship after the broken flag appeared. The spirit ship was very fast. Many people couldn't help but feel anxious, because the owner of the spirit ship would soon reach the stone pagoda. The others couldn't go over. He was the only one who could go over. When the time came, all kinds of opportunities. Wouldn't they all be taken by that person? If that was the case, wouldn't they have been happy for nothing? After thinking about this, many people immediately felt their mood become very bad. A few spirit ships also moved out, trying to get close to the stone pagoda. However, those spirit ships were attacked by the strange and terrifying power. One by one, the spirit ships were damaged to various degrees. One of the spirit ships was severely damaged. Most of the restrictions were destroyed. The hull of the ship was also damaged. So, that spirit ship was attacked by many vicious beasts. When those vicious beasts swarmed and surrounded the spirit ship was quickly destroyed by the vicious beasts. Hundreds of cultivators on the ship fell into the pool. Those cultivators engaged in a great battle with the vicious beasts. Many cultivators were killed by the vicious beasts. A small number of people were rescued by other spirit ships. Only then did they escape disaster. We can't get close. We have to have the token to get close, a cultivator said with a gloomy expression. However, no matter how depressed they were, no matter how unwilling they were to accept this situation, now, they had to accept it even if they didn't want to. Finally, the spirit ship came to the side of the stone pagoda. A cultivator walked out of the spirit ship. It was a cultivator who looked very young. He was wearing a gray robe. That handsome face looked very evil. When the cultivator came to the side of the stone pagoda, he turned his head and looked at the cultivators on the spirit ship outside. Then, the corner of his mouth curved into a mocking smile. He's mocking us. Who is this person? How dare he be so arrogant? Courting death, courting death. This guy is simply courting death. If I catch him, I will definitely grind his bones to dust. The cultivators in the outer area roared angrily. Originally, being unable to reach the stone pagoda was already very troublesome. Now, they were even mocked and despised. Naturally, their mood became even worse. Each one of them was filled with killing intent. They couldn't wait to kill that evil young cultivator immediately. Remember my name. At this time, the young cultivator opened his mouth and said, this guy was really quite arrogant. After despising everyone, he still wanted everyone to remember his name. Chapter 5086. My name is Xiezi, the son of the great Tao born from the evil path. The evil young master said, your whole family is evil. Brat, you can continue to act cool now. When you come out later, see how we'll deal with you. A cultivator said coldly, no matter how strong you are, there is always someone stronger. You got your opportunity, but you shouldn't mock us. Even if you get your opportunity, you won't be able to leave. Another cultivator coldly said, although the spirit ships were very noisy, it was still difficult to cover up the cultivator's voice. Clearly, this cultivator was very strong. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to let his voice spread out like this. Xiezi mocked everyone, causing them to be angry. But it was obvious that he did it on purpose. Stupid and ignorant. Xiezi continued, still with a high and mighty attitude. Little Rock King was rubbing his teeth. He said, why is this guy asking for a beating? Now even I want to teach him a lesson. Lin Feng also had the same feeling. This guy really deserved a beating. Young Master Xianyu, Young Master Xianyu, and the others were all high and mighty figures. However, no matter how high their attitude was, they wouldn't provoke and humiliate a large number of cultivators. How many people would they offend? But Xiezi dared to do so. You're called Xiezi, right? A cultivator asked loudly. Are you deaf? Xiezi said with a sneer. My name is Xie Father, and I was the one who created the evil path. Since you're Xiezi, then according to seniority, you have to call me grandfather. The cultivator continued to shout loudly. After hearing what the cultivator had to say, Yizichin nodded. Many people were stunned at first. Then, they laughed out loud. This guy's mouth was really sarcastic. Especially when those cultivators saw that Xiezi's expression had become incomparably gloomy, they became even happier. It was true. That was a very satisfying thing. Weren't you very arrogant? Weren't you very arrogant? Didn't you look down on everyone? Didn't you call yourself the son of the great Tao? Now you're being mocked, right? Lin Feng saw the cultivator who spoke. It was a cultivator who looked to be in his 30s. He was tall and sturdy, and he had a head of fiery red hair. When he saw that cultivator, Lin Feng was slightly taken aback. Fire Qilin. Lin Feng's mouth twitched violently. Even though the fire Qilin had taken on the appearance of a human, However, Lin Feng would never forget his aura. Lin Feng was sure. This guy was the fire Qilin. He is a fire Qilin? It can't be? Feng Yaorao said in astonishment. Obviously, she didn't sense the fire Qilin's aura from the red-haired man. Fire Qilin, this fellow, still dared to swagger around when he was being hunted down by the 4 great immortal sects. If he didn't have any ability, how could he dare to do such a thing? Therefore, this guy must have cultivated a method to change his own aura. However, Feng Yaorao's perception wasn't as powerful as his. Therefore, he was unable to sense the true aura of the fire Qilin. Whether it's a fire Qilin or not, we'll know once we see what's around that guy, Lin Feng said. Through the crowd, Feng Yaorao saw the 2 female cultivators behind the fire Qilin. At first, the 2 female cultivators were blocked by the fire Qilin's huge body. Thus, Feng Yaorao didn't see them. But now, Feng Yaorao saw them. Among the 2 women, one of them was like an immortal with a noble temperament. It was Princess Shuiyao. The other person had a strange look. It was Little Moon. Now, Little Moon had grown up. She was slender and elegant. A woman changes 18 times between childhood and womanhood. The more she grows, the more beautiful she becomes. After seeing these 2 people, Feng Yaorao was naturally able to confirm the identity of the fire Qilin. Feng Yaorao said, Fire Qilin's methods are truly extraordinary. To be able to deceive everyone, Lin Feng said, of course, the fire Qilin's ability is very high. Back then, when I was still very weak, this guy's cultivation was already very strong. If it wasn't for the sacred Emperor's stone devouring his divine power, he would definitely be even stronger now. At this time, Xie Zi, who had been taken advantage of by the fire Qilin, coldly said, I'll remember you. Pray that you don't fall into my hands. The fire Qilin said disdainfully, Do you think I'm afraid of you? If you have the guts, come and fight me one-on-one right now. When many people heard the fire Qilin's words, they couldn't help but laugh bitterly. Do you really think he's stupid? Why would he come at this time? Xie Zi ignored the fire Qilin. This guy began to chant an incantation. While chanting the incantation, he also released a series of runes. Those were runes. All of them surged into the broken flag. The broken flag shook and released a series of violent fluctuations. Rays of divine light. They flew out from the broken flag. Then, they shone on the stone tower. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Suddenly, the stone tower changed. The stone tower began to shake violently. Moreover, an earth-shattering sound rang out. That kind of sound. It was like thunder. It shook the void. The stone tower has changed. A cultivator cried out in alarm. Everyone turned to look at the stone tower. The stone tower was slowly rising from the pool. It seemed like it was going to come out of the pool. The stone tower was rising very quickly. It didn't take long. It completely flew out of the pool. The stone tower floated in mid-air. It was about 1,000 meters high. What a spectacular sight! After seeing the stone tower, many cultivators sighed. Although the stone tower wasn't particularly tall, it had a special aura. It was a sense of oppression that was as majestic as a mountain. When many people faced the stone tower, there was a huge pressure. Seeing the stone tower completely fly out, Xie Zi was also very happy. He continued to chant the incantation. Then, he released a series of runes. Those runes, they all merged into the broken flag. The tattered flag quickly disintegrated into skeleton runes. The skeletal runes flew towards the stone door. Those skeleton runes all merged into the stone door. And on the stone door, a huge skull appeared. Please open the stone door. Xie Zi has come to inherit everything left behind by the evil ancestor. Xie Zi said. When Xie Zi's voice fell, the huge skull on top of the stone door actually spoke human language. Xie Zi has arrived. The stone door is open. After the skull's voice fell, a loud rumbling sound was heard. The stone door shook violently. With the shaking of the stone door, the entire stone tower shook violently. Chapter 5087. The door to the stone pagoda gradually opened, making Xie Zi extremely excited. The gazes of the cultivators in the distance were extremely gloomy. They watched as Xie Zi obtained all the opportunities one by one. However, they obtained nothing. This feeling was naturally incomparably terrible. However, there was nothing they could do about it. Those opportunities were destined to have nothing to do with them. Lin Feng suddenly thought of what the Supreme Demon Iron had said before. The evil ancestor's blood spilled over the stone pagoda. The stone pagoda was undergoing a transformation, waiting for the arrival of a new master. It seemed this new master was Xiezi. This kind of thing was something that others couldn't be envious of. There were many opportunities between heaven and earth, and there would always be some lucky people who would be able to obtain some extraordinary opportunities. After grasping those great opportunities, these cultivators would be able to rise to the top. A proud son of heaven like Xiezi, his cultivation was already extremely powerful, so he would always be able to obtain the favor of many great opportunities. Then, he would become more and more powerful, and people would have to look up to him. It wasn't unreasonable for him to be so arrogant, mainly because he was too powerful. With such a powerful cultivation, it was normal for him to be a little arrogant. Young people who were successful were more arrogant. After all, there were only a few people who could keep a low profile. In the end, the stone door opened a gap of more than a meter. Then, the stone door no longer opened. However, this gap was enough for Xiezi to enter. Xiezi jumped out of the spirit ship and directly entered the stone door. Then, he put away the spirit ship. The surrounding cultivators didn't leave either. Many people were even thinking of waiting for Xiezi to come out before besieging him. The main reason was that Xiezi was too hateful, humiliating everyone. This caused many cultivators to have killing intent towards Xiezi. So, many cultivators didn't want to let go of any chance to kill Xiezi. And, if they could kill Xiezi, they would be able to obtain a lot of benefits, so why not? Ideals were beautiful. However, whether or not these ideals could become reality was still hard to say. Everyone continued to wait outside. Someone said, "Everyone, do you feel that the strange and terrifying power around the stone pagoda is constantly weakening?" Hearing this, many people carefully sensed it and then revealed looks of joy. Because of that strange power, it was really dissipating. If they waited until that strange power completely dissipated, then everyone could enter the stone tower. That's great. Once we enter the tower, we'll definitely kill that guy. Some cultivators laughed excitedly. About half an hour passed. That strange power had really disappeared. Everyone's face lit up with joy. When that strange power disappeared, everyone even discovered that the pool was no longer an area where magic power was confined. Everyone regained the ability to fly, which made many people extremely happy. One cultivator after another soared into the sky and quickly flew towards the stone tower. A large number of cultivators entered the stone tower. Lin Feng, Little Pongking, and Feng Yaorao were not in a hurry to enter the stone pagoda. They were waiting for the Fire Qilin, Little Moon, and Princess Shuiyao to arrive. The Fire Qilin, Little Moon, and Princess Shuiyao did not see Lin Feng and the other two as they flew directly towards the stone tower. Lin Feng and the other two appeared before them. "Ha ha ha ha, I didn't expect to see you here." After seeing Lin Feng, the Fire Qilin suddenly laughed. Little Moon was very excited. Lin Feng had saved Little Moon's life in the past. Therefore, Little Moon had a very special feeling of closeness to Lin Feng. "Big brother Feng." Little Moon flew over with a very happy smile. "You're becoming more and more beautiful." Lin Feng smiled. After hearing Lin Feng's praise, Little Moon became even happier. Princess Shuiyao said, "Lin Gongzi, it's been many years since we last met. How have you been?" Lin Feng said, "Not bad. I happened to pass by the ancient demon domain, so I came to see you. Seeing that you're all well, I'm relieved. Let's enter the stone tower and take a look." Although it's very likely that the stone tower has recognized Xiezi as its master, I think that it hasn't officially recognized Xiezi as its master yet. We can go inside and see if there are any opportunities. If the stone tower recognizes Xiezi as its master, it'll be very difficult to snatch those opportunities. Hearing this, the others nodded. They did not stay outside. They all flew towards the stone tower. Very quickly, they entered the stone tower. Lin Feng summoned Dragon Rabbit and said to it, "Little guy, sense it and see if there are any good treasures. Take us there now." Dragon Rabbit had already undergone 5 transformations, and its perception of treasures had become even stronger. Therefore, let Dragon Rabbit find the whereabouts of the treasures. It was definitely an excellent choice. Whoosh! Dragon Rabbit was extremely fast, and it directly rushed upwards. Lin Feng and the others followed closely behind Dragon Rabbit, heading towards the top of the stone tower. The stone tower was divided into many levels. Each level was divided into many rooms. Most of the rooms were sealed by restrictions, and it was unknown what was in those rooms. Many cultivators were breaking the restrictions in the rooms. Even the aggressive cultivators who wanted to kill Xiezi were trying to break the restrictive spells at this moment. How could they have the time to care about Xiezi? They did not know where Xiezi had run off to. Looking for Xiezi was simply a waste of time. The most important thing was to find opportunities that could be seen. Everyone was very clear about this. And these people, they all did the same. There were also very powerful restrictions between the levels. For example, the restrictions between the first and second levels were very powerful. However, there were many cultivators with extraordinary abilities. So when Lin Feng and the others arrived, the restrictions between the first and second levels had already been broken. They went all the way to the 36th floor. The restrictions between the levels had all been broken. The restrictions between the 36th floor and the 37th floor had yet to be broken. Dozens of cultivators were working together to discuss how to break the restrictions. Given time, they would definitely be able to break that restriction. Lin Feng used his mana to wrap around Feng Yaorao, Little Rock King, Fire Qilin, Little Moon, Princess Shui Yao, and the others. Then, he used the inheritance of the Celestial Master's lineage. They quickly rushed into the restrictions. This was the terrifying part of the Celestial Master's lineage. Lin Feng could travel through many restrictions. Everyone arrived at the 37th floor. The Fire Qilin clicked its tongue in wonder and said, "Speaking of which, the inheritance of the Celestial Master's lineage is really awesome." Lin Feng and the others continued to head upwards. Finally, their group arrived at the 49th floor. This floor did not have many rooms like the other floors. There was only one huge hall here. Moreover, Chapter 5088. In the depths, there was a huge altar. There were more than a dozen things placed on the altar, and those things were surrounded by evil light. He didn't know what they were for the time being, but Lin Feng guessed. Those things were most likely treasures left behind by the evil ancestor. That evil ancestor was so powerful. The things he left behind, the value must be incomparably precious. On the altar, there was also a stone statue of the evil ancestor. After Lin Feng and the others entered, Xiezi did not pay any attention to them. He knelt in front of the evil ancestor's stone statue and kept muttering something. Obviously, right now, it should be a rather important moment for Xiezi. Perhaps he was carrying out some kind of special ritual. After this ritual was completed, Xiezi would be able to control the stone pagoda. At that time, Xiezi would be the new owner of the stone pagoda. Therefore, Xiezi ignored Lin Feng and the others who had entered the 49th floor. "Attack," Lin Feng said. He took out his arrow war spear and directly charged towards Xiezi. As soon as it came up, Lin Feng displayed his strongest fighting strength. He wanted to get rid of Xiezi as soon as possible. Every minute that was delayed, for Lin Feng and the others, it was an extremely bad thing. If Xiezi controlled the stone pagoda, it would be an extremely terrible thing. Fire Unicorn, Little Rock King, and the others also made their moves. Together with Lin Feng, they charged towards Xiezi. Right now, Xiezi was carrying out this special ritual. It was a great opportunity to kill Xiezi. Miss this opportunity. Perhaps, it would be very difficult to find another opportunity like this. So, he had to seize this opportunity. However, when Lin Feng and the others arrived in front of Xiezi, a huge light barrier suddenly formed around Xiezi's body, and that light barrier protected Xiezi within. Facing the attacks of Lin Feng and the others, that huge light barrier rebounded with a powerful force. That powerful force directly shook the bodies of Lin Feng and the others. It directly sent Lin Feng and the others flying. What a terrifying power! Everyone couldn't help but be shocked. F***CK. I don't believe that I can't destroy this barrier. The fire Qilin cursed loudly. He held a blood-colored broadsword in his hand and slashed out again. It was the same as before. The fire Qilin was sent flying again. Both of his hands were shattered. Blood immediately flowed out. This infuriated the fire Qilin. Lin Feng said, "That light barrier was most likely condensed by the stone tower. Let's not worry about that light barrier for now and collect the treasures on the altar. After we collect those treasures, we'll immediately leave." The others nodded in agreement. Everyone quickly flew towards the altar. However, when they tried to collect the treasures, the stone statue on the altar actually opened its eyes. After that, the statue slapped its palm towards Lin Feng and the others. The stone statue of the evil ancestor was truly terrifying to the extreme. That palm strike contained an unimaginably terrifying power. No matter who it was, after receiving that terrifying palm strike, they would turn pale with fright. Lin Feng knew. They had to end the battle quickly. If they waited until Xiezi grasped the stone pagoda, they would be in danger. This was because they were now in the inner world of the stone tower. This kind of place. It had a relatively large suppressive effect on Lin Feng and the others. Therefore, at this moment, they had to be extremely careful in dealing with the situation in front of them. Lin Feng attacked with all his strength. The golden dwarf, the ruler's armor, the magic lotus, the sacred bone, and the external incarnation's power had completely fused with his body. When these powers fused with his body, Lin Feng immediately felt that his power had risen to the peak. Break! He couldn't help but shout loudly. His spear pierced towards the energy palm that had condensed in the void. The attacks of both sides collided. It was difficult to separate them. The attack of the evil ancestor's stone statue was terrifying. "We'll help you," the fire Qilin shouted loudly. He quickly rushed over, and powerful magic power poured into Lin Feng's body. Feng Yaorao, Little Pong King, Princess Shui Yao, and Little Moon also attacked. Powerful magic power. It also poured into Lin Feng's body. After receiving the support of their magic power, Lin Feng immediately became energetic. After Lin Feng transformed the magic power, it all turned into magic power that could be used freely. Lin Feng continuously poured the magic power into the Epic War Spear. After the powerful magic power was integrated, the Epic War Spear's aura suddenly became more and more terrifying. Its power also became stronger and stronger. "Break for me!" Lin Feng roared loudly. He held the Epic War Spear with his left hand and slapped the end of the spear with his right hand. The Epic War Spear's power increased again, and it directly shattered the attack of the evil ancestor's stone statue. Then Lin Feng waved his hand, and powerful magic power poured out, sweeping towards the treasures on the altar. But at this time, the treasures on the altar actually flew in all directions. "Hurry up and collect them," Lin Feng said. The fire Qilin and the others locked onto a treasure and chased after it. Lin Feng took out the swallowing heaven jar. He planned to use it to collect the treasures. The swallowing heaven jar. It released an extremely terrifying devouring power. The treasures were swallowed by the swallowing heaven jar one by one. The swallowing heaven jar continuously swallowed 3 treasures. The fire Qilin and the others also collected a treasure at this time. Lin Feng planned to continue controlling the swallowing heaven jar to collect the other treasures. Suddenly, an evil light shot out from the evil ancestor's stone statue. The evil light surged into Xiezi's body. Xiezi opened his eyes. His aura instantly underwent a tremendous change. Xiezi officially became the master of the stone pagoda. Moreover, after becoming the master of the stone pagoda, Xiezi had obviously gained a lot of benefits. His battle strength had probably increased greatly. "All of you deserve to die." Xiezi's cold eyes looked at Lin Feng and the others. He kept the remaining treasures. Then, he slapped the fire Qilin. "Damn, why did you attack me first?" The fire Qilin could not help but shout gloomily. Xiezi attacked the fire Qilin first because the fire Qilin had mocked Xiezi outside. Xiezi remembered this grudge. So, he wanted to kill the fire Qilin first. The fire Qilin did not dare to be careless. It quickly blocked Xiezi's attack. Facing Xiezi's powerful attack, the fire Qilin also struck out with its palm, endless flames lingering in its palm. The power of the fire Qilin's attack was quite tyrannical. Bang! The next moment, accompanied by the sound of a violent collision, the fire Qilin and Xiezi fiercely collided. The fire Qilin's attack was instantly broken by Xiezi, and he was sent flying, spitting out a mouthful of blood in midair. Chapter 5089. Xiezi locked onto the fire Qilin and quickly charged towards it, wanting to kill it. The fire Qilin's expression changed greatly. It wanted to get rid of Xiezi, but it was unable to do so. However, at this moment, Lin Feng appeared between the fire Qilin and Xiezi. He slapped Xiezi with his palm. Bang! The sound of a violent collision was heard. Lin Feng and Xiezi's palms collided. Both sides were evenly matched. Lin Feng shouted in a deep voice, "I'll cover the rear. You guys retreat first." Hearing this, everyone nodded. They also knew that Xiezi was powerful. Now, Xiezi controlled the stone tower. If they continued to stay here, they wouldn't be of any help to Lin Feng. So, leaving now was the best choice. This way, they wouldn't be a burden to Lin Feng. "Be careful," Feng Yaorao said. "Big brother Feng, you must be careful," Little Moon reminded him. Little Rock King, Princess Shuiyao, and the fire Qilin also warned Lin Feng to be careful. Then, they quickly rushed downstairs. "Who are you?" Xiezi looked at Lin Feng and asked. With his current battle strength, he was actually unable to do anything to Lin Feng. This made Xiezi feel that it was very inconceivable. Previously, Xiezi had fought with one of the 8 great young masters. The 8 great young masters could only fight to a draw with him. However, it was obvious that Lin Feng was definitely not one of the 8 great young masters. "And who are you?" Lin Feng asked. "The child of the great Tao, Xiezi." Xiezi said. "Speak human," Lin Feng said indifferently. Xiezi's eyes suddenly revealed a sinister look. He sneered and said, "Stupid people always think that what others say is not the truth." Lin Feng said indifferently, "I think that stupid people are the kind of people who find a lame excuse to deceive others and still think that what they say is true. For example, you are such a person." Hee. Xiezi smiled coldly and walked towards Lin Feng step by step. He said, "You're quite strong. So if you kneel down and pledge your loyalty to me, I'll spare your life. If you don't know how to appreciate my kindness, you'll die today." "Really? I'd like to see if you have the ability to say such words to me." Lin Feng replied indifferently. He quickly rushed towards Xiezi and then blasted a palm at Xiezi. Lin Feng's palm strike was even more powerful than his previous attacks. Xiezi sneered. Similarly, he struck out with his palm. Bang! Along with the violent collision sound, the two sides collided again. This time, both sides were still evenly matched. Xiezi was terrifying. He hadn't used his full strength yet. Lin Feng could sense that. Of course, Lin Feng also did not use his full strength. But even so, Lin Feng's heart was still filled with shock and emotion. With his current accumulation, it was difficult to suppress Xiezi, and Xiezi was also very young. Who was this guy? Even compared to the 8 great young masters of the Undying Realm, Xiezi was not bad at all. And Xiezi was much younger than the 8 great young masters of the Undying Realm. Even compared to Lin Feng, he was not much older. Lin Feng had never heard of such a terrifying existence before. Xiezi was not the kind of person who kept a low profile. His character was very high profile. How could someone with such a high-profile personality be unknown to the public? This was what made people feel puzzled. Could it be that he was the so-called child of the Great Tao? Xiezi did not have parents? Born in the Great Tao? It sounded like. Why was it so unbelievable? Lin Feng thought. Xiezi was very likely to be a self-sealing divine stone, an existence that was born not long ago. Although I have many methods to deal with you, I have just become the owner of the stone pagoda today. I have decided to use the stone pagoda to deal with you. It's a good opportunity to test the power of the stone pagoda, Xiezi said. As his voice fell, he formed a seal with both hands, and the stone pagoda shook violently. Lin Feng saw. Dense runes appeared on the inner walls of the stone pagoda. Those were runes. They shot out powerful beams of light. Those beams of light gathered together. At the place where the beams of light intertwined, a living being in a gray robe condensed. This is one of the stone pagoda's abilities. It can condense a pagoda god. Come and experience the strength of this pagoda god. Xiezi said, I am the pagoda god, an existence that was born after the stone pagoda absorbed the blood of the evil ancestor. Although I am not a god, my strength is not comparable to a god. Not bad. Moreover, I am an immortal existence. As long as the stone pagoda exists in the world, I can live forever. The pagoda god said, and then began to chant an incantation. The mysterious incantation was activated by the pagoda god's consciousness. Then, in front of the pagoda god, a stone pagoda shadow appeared. Suppress. The pagoda god said. The stone pagoda shadow quickly flew out. He moved towards Lin Feng to oppress him. Although it was only a shadow formed by the divine ability, Lin Feng felt an extremely dangerous aura from the stone pagoda shadow. That stone pagoda shadow. It made Lin Feng's hair stand on end. That stone pagoda shadow was definitely very terrifying. Of course, even if the stone pagoda shadow was very terrifying, Lin Feng was not afraid at all. Lin Feng stepped forward and swung his right fist. He used the Ancestor Dragon Fist. Behind Lin Feng, an Ancestor Dragon Shadow suddenly appeared. The Ancestor Dragon Shadow coiled around Lin Feng's fist. Bang! Along with the violent sound of the collision, there was a loud bang. Lin Feng punched the stone pagoda shadow. Lin Feng originally thought that he could shatter the pagoda shadow with one punch. What surprised him was that the stone pagoda shadow was not shattered by his Ancestor Dragon Fist. The stone pagoda shadow quickly grew bigger and continued to attack Lin Feng. 6 Paths of Reincarnation Fist. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent as he punched the stone pagoda again. The 6 Paths of Reincarnation Fist was very powerful. This was a fist technique that could continuously increase its power. When the first punch was thrown, Lin Feng was obviously passive. But after the second punch, Lin Feng's situation became much better. He threw 5 punches in a row. The 6 Paths of Reincarnation Fist became more and more powerful. After 5 punches, the 6 Paths of Reincarnation Fist finally suppressed the stone pagoda. Light of the pagoda god. Suddenly, the pagoda god roared. A divine light was shot out by the pagoda god. The divine light entered the stone pagoda, and the stone pagoda's power began to rise. The stone pagoda hit Lin Feng again. When the stone pagoda collided with Lin Feng again, it immediately blocked Lin Feng's attack. At this time, Xiezi swam behind Lin Feng. Obviously. Chapter 5090. Lin Feng noticed Xiezi, who appeared behind him. Now he was being held back by the pagoda god. So it was indeed a good time for Xiezi to deal with him. If he grasped it well, he might really be able to kill Lin Feng. The pagoda god controlled the stone pagoda to attack Lin Feng, and Xiezi also began to prepare a powerful divine ability. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He could multitask, so he was not afraid of this kind of siege. Of course, although he was not afraid, he still had to be cautious, because the opponent was too strong. Even if he could deal with the siege of the opponent, who knew if the opponent would suddenly use some terrifying technique when they were besieging him? This was also very likely. If the opponent suddenly used such a technique, it would be extremely bad. Lin Feng began to use the Great Curse technique. The curse power in the clay figurines and stone statues continuously flowed into Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng used the Great Cursing technique without a hitch. Bang! Lin Feng multitasked and used the Great Curse technique to attack the pagoda god and Xiezi at the same time. After receiving Lin Feng's attack, the pagoda god's body directly exploded. But the pagoda god did not die. Just as the pagoda god said, his body was almost immortal. Unless the stone pagoda was destroyed, the pagoda god could not be destroyed. The pagoda god let out an angry roar. He began to reorganize his body. At the same time, Xiezi, who was attacked by Lin Feng's Great Curse technique, actually successfully dodged the attack. This made Lin Feng very surprised. Generally speaking, once the Great Curse technique was successfully used, it would basically be impossible for the attack to be successfully dodged. It wasn't the first time Lin Feng had used the Great Cursing technique. However, this was the first time that the Great Curse technique was successfully dodged. The Great Curse technique, what a powerful technique. Not only have you cultivated the Great Curse technique, but you've also cultivated it to a very high level. Xie looked at Lin Feng in shock. Lin Feng didn't find it strange that this fellow was able to recognize the Great Curse art he was using. Lin Feng ignored Xie. Instead, he rushed straight towards Xie. Lin Feng used the 1 Qi into 3 Pure Ones technique. Then, 12 domineering magnetic fields were also displayed by Lin Feng. The intimidating power formed by the 12 domineering magnetic fields was unprecedentedly strong. Xie was instantly enveloped by the 12 domineering magnetic fields. His speed, attack power, and so on were all greatly affected. Xie's overall battle prowess was greatly declining. Lin Feng immediately used the Door of Everlasting Life. He created a phantom image of the Door of Everlasting Life and rushed towards Xie. 12 domineering magnetic fields combined with the shadow of the Door of Everlasting Life. Such a powerful attack was absolutely unimaginable. Lin Feng believed him. Someone as powerful as Xie, if he received this attack of his, even if he did not die, he would have to peel off a layer of skin. Illusory spell. But at this moment, Xie couldn't help but let out a low shout. His body became illusory. There were even many double images. When Lin Feng's shadow of the Door of Everlasting Life suppressed over, it was actually unable to cause any harm to Xie. Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked. The illusory spell, this divine ability, was a bit too strange. It could actually ignore his divine ability attack. After Xie used the illusory spell to dissolve Lin Feng's attack, the next moment, he arrived in front of Lin Feng. Then, he attacked Lin Feng with a powerful divine ability. This divine ability was called 10,000 Annihilation. 10,000 Annihilation here referred to all divine abilities and das. The meaning of annihilation referred to destruction. The meaning of 10,000 Annihilation was the destruction of all divine abilities and das. This was definitely an unparalleled ancient and modern divine ability. Its power was so strong that it shocked people. Eternal emptiness. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He also used a divine ability. This was the supreme divine ability passed down from the last era of the human clan. Although Lin Feng had only cultivated it to a small success, its power was still very strong. Lin Feng and Xie's attacks collided once again. Both sides took 3 steps back. Domineering intimidation. Lin Feng coldly shouted, and 12 layers of domineering auras bombarded Xie one after another. The power of the 12 layers of domineering auras stacked together was simply enough to destroy heaven and earth. After feeling the powerful power of the 12 layers of domineering auras, Xie's face couldn't help but sink slightly. This time, a storage ring on Xie's hand trembled slightly. Then, a huge light shield appeared, protecting Xie inside. That ring was actually not a storage ring. It was a top-grade treasure called the Ring of Protection. Once the Ring of Protection was activated, it could transform into a powerful protective light shield. If a cultivator was protected by the protective light shield, it could dissolve all kinds of attacks. Bang, bang, bang. The 12 layers of domineering auras bombarded the defensive light shield in succession. The attacks formed by the 12 layers of domineering auras were all blocked by the defensive light shield. That defensive light shield was really terrifying. The main reason was that the defensive magic treasure was relatively strong. I control the power of destiny. I will use the power of destiny to open the defensive light shield formed by this ring. Lin Feng used the Great Destiny technique. The power of destiny surged out. Then, it poured into the light shield. Bang! A sound was heard. The defensive light shield. It directly shattered. Lin Feng's Great Destiny technique was indeed powerful. Now that the Great Destiny technique had destroyed the defensive light shield, Lin Feng continued to use a powerful divine ability. This divine ability was Lin Feng's self-created Supreme Reincarnation Fist. The Supreme Reincarnation Fist was an incomparably domineering divine ability. When this divine ability was activated, all the divine abilities that Lin Feng cultivated would be activated together, and then all the divine abilities would increase the power of the Supreme Reincarnation Fist. So, the Supreme Reincarnation Fist was Lin Feng's most powerful divine ability attack. However, the Supreme Reincarnation Fist also had its own shortcomings. That was, this divine ability consumed too much of one's body. Under normal circumstances, Lin Feng would rarely use this divine ability against enemies. But now, Lin Feng planned to use the Supreme Reincarnation Fist to attack Xie. After the Supreme Reincarnation Fist was used by Lin Feng, the powerful fist intent locked onto Xie. After feeling the power of Lin Feng's punch, Xie was extremely shocked. Once again, he used the illusory incantation. After Lin Feng's punch, he discovered that the majority of the attack was dissolved by the illusory spell. Only a small portion of the attack landed on Xie's body. Xie was sent flying, but he didn't suffer too much damage. What a terrifying fellow. It's not good to continue fighting. Let's go. After sending Xie flying, Lin Feng didn't continue to attack Xie. Instead, he quickly rushed downstairs. Who is this person? How can he be so terrifying? Chapter 5091. The pagoda god reappeared and said, "The path to becoming a sovereign must be lonely and invincible. If you want to become a sovereign, you must be invincible in the world. That kid must die." Of course, he must die, but we can't be too hasty. We'll play with him slowly. Now, I need to familiarize myself with the stone pagoda. Once I completely control it, I'll be able to play with him however I want, Xie said. Lin Feng rushed out of the stone pagoda. At this moment, the stone pagoda shook violently. Many cultivators rushed out of the stone pagoda. Obviously, many cultivators suspected that the stone pagoda had been refined by someone. Lin Feng, the Fire Qilin, Feng Yaorao, and the others gathered together. They didn't stay any longer and quickly left. Not long after they left, the stone pagoda broke through the void and disappeared. Soon, the news of Xie obtaining the stone pagoda quickly spread throughout the ancient demon domain. Even the arrogant words that Xie said in front of so many experts were exposed. Many people felt that it was inconceivable after hearing those words, because even the Undying Realm's 8 young masters weren't so arrogant. Who was that person? He was actually arrogant to this extent. Many people became curious about Xie's identity. Soon, more news spread, and the news that came out pointed out Xie's origins. Xie was the only son of the 7th generation evil god. The 7th generation evil god's era was very chaotic. In addition, the 7th generation evil god also had a great enemy. So, he sealed his son in the god's stone. He was waiting for the day when his son broke out of the god's stone. When everyone knew Xie's origin, they were all shocked. He was actually the son of the evil god, a titled god? Era. The evil god was definitely an extremely terrifying existence. Among the many titled gods? Among them, the evil god was also one of the top titled gods? Yes. As the son of the 7th generation evil god, Xie's talent was naturally terrifying. That guy called himself the son of the great Tao. How ridiculous. Some cultivators sneered after hearing Xie's identity. Thinking back to how arrogant Xie was and how he looked at everyone with disdain, they were still quite angry. At that time, Xie was too arrogant and looked down on everyone, which angered a lot of cultivators. In fact, Xie did have the right to be arrogant. At his age, it was really difficult to find a cultivator as strong as him. Xie's luck was also very strong, so he was always able to obtain many good things. Even the evil ancestor pagoda to him. To Xie, this was like adding wings to a tiger. The evil god, the demon god's son, the demon god's son, demon god's son, and the others, demon lords, demons. A cultivator said and thought. With the arrival of the apocalypse, those ancient powerhouses who were in deep slumber, or the powerful existences sealed in the god's stone, or some other terrifying creatures would choose to come out at this time. But in fact, the end of the world also represented opportunities, because countless opportunities would appear during the end of the world. When the end of the world came, many experts would be created. At this time, It was the true era of heroes and kings fighting for supremacy. This era was destined to be a great era with surging waves. Lin Feng, Fire Qilin, Little Pong King, and the others went to the first ancestral land of the demon clan. On the way, Lin Feng asked the three of them about the Great Pong King and the Peacock King. After asking around, he found out that the Great Pong King and the Peacock King were still in seclusion. However, they were not far away from coming out. If they were lucky, when they returned this time, maybe they would be able to see the Great Pong King and the Peacock King. In the past, the Great Pong King and the Peacock King were regarded as the hope of the demon clan. Their talent was extremely heaven-defying. Even an existence like the Fire Qilin might not be comparable to the Great Pong King and the Peacock King. This was the terrifying part of the Great Pong King and the Peacock King. When the Sky Martial continent suppressed their cultivation, they were already able to defy the heavens. It was truly rare. Now, they had come to the first ancestral land of the demon clan in the Undying Realm. Moreover, they had been here for many years. Presumably, their cultivation had long reached an unimaginable level. The Fire Qilin said, I heard that when they are in seclusion, they will head to an ancient battlefield to temper their cultivation. That ancient battlefield seems to be called the Time Reversal World. I wonder if this is true or not. Lin Feng's spirit was slightly lifted. He had naturally heard of the Time Reversal World. Back then, his father was so powerful. It was said that it was because he had entered the Time Reversal World. What kind of world was the Time Reversal World? Lin Feng had always been very puzzled. Now, he actually mentioned the Time Reversal World from the Fire Qilin. Could it be that the first ancestral land of the demon clan still had a way to enter the Time Reversal World? Little Pong King said, that is indeed the case. Previously, Uncle came out of seclusion once. I heard him talk about the Time Reversal World, but he did not explain in detail what kind of world it was. Perhaps it was because he was afraid that he did not explain it that clearly. Lin Feng said, does that mean that the first ancestral land of the demon clan has a way to enter the Time Reversal World? The Fire Qilin shook its head. The first ancestral land of the demon clan doesn't have a way to enter the Time Reversal World. Lin Feng said, the Great Pong King and the Peacock King are cultivating in the first ancestral land of the demon clan. If the first ancestral land of the demon clan doesn't have a way to enter the Time Reversal World, then how can the Great Pong King and the Peacock King enter the Time Reversal World? The Fire Qilin said, they entered through the Fleeting Lake. The Fleeting Lake? What kind of place is that? Lin Feng asked curiously. Chapter 5092. There's actually such a strange lake? Said Lin Feng in astonishment. If it were anyone else, they would be extremely shocked after hearing about this lake. That was because this lake was really too strange. Feng Yarao said, this lake is really strange. I tried it before, and I saw a cave in the lake. Then, I tried to communicate with the cave, and when I connected with it, I instantly entered it. Fortunately, it was a cave in the real world. Otherwise, I might not have been able to come out of the virtual world. Lin Feng said, so, there must have been people who entered the virtual world? And none of the cultivators who entered the virtual world came out alive? Feng Yarao nodded, then smiled bitterly and said, previously, there was a demonic cultivator who ascended with us. She entered a virtual world, and since then, there has been no news of her. It's been almost 100 years since then. I guess she's really trapped there and died. The Fire Qilin said, you're talking about that little girl from the White Fox clan, right? She's really sexy, charming, and charming. Just looking at her makes people drool, but unfortunately, she has such a short life. Obviously, the girl Feng Yarao was talking about was unexpectedly a peerless beauty, but she had died just like that. It was indeed a pity. Such a delicate beauty had died just like that, and it was easy for the majority of male cultivators to feel extremely vexed. Feng Yarao said, that's her. Apart from her, there are many other people in history who have suffered a calamity. That's why the ancestral land of the demonic beasts doesn't allow people to go to the lake so easily. Even if they go there, they can't casually enter the places they saw in the lake. Of course, if they want to play some exciting games, nobody can stop them. Lin Feng said, so, that means that the Great Pong Emperor and the Peacock King saw the world where time had reversed at the lake? Then, they entered the world where time had reversed from the lake? That's indeed the case, said the little Pong Emperor. The Fire Chelan said gloomily, it really makes people jealous. Why didn't I see the world where time had reversed at the lake? I also want to see a world where time is reversed and then enter that world. We also want to. Feng Yaorao, Little Pong King, Little Moon, and Princess Shui Yao said in unison. No one didn't want to. However, if he wanted to enter, he would need to be lucky. Lin Feng asked, over the years, how many cultivators from the first ancestral land of the Yao race have entered the world of time reversal? The Fire Chelan shook its head and said, very, very few. As far as I know, you can count them on one hand. Lin Feng nodded. Lin Feng was looking forward to this trip to the first ancestral land of the demon race. He wanted to go to Suyu Lake to take a look. Was there any hope for him to enter the world where time was reversed? 3 months later, Lin Feng followed the Fire Chelan and the others to the first ancestral land of the Yao race. They first took a teleportation array in an ancient city called Flying Dragon City. The array sent them to a barren mountain covered in restrictions. They then took another teleportation array in the barren mountain. When they reappeared, they were in an underwater palace. They repeatedly used teleportation arrays. After using 7 teleportation arrays, Lin Feng and the others finally arrived outside the first ancestral land of the Yao race. The first ancestral land of the Yao race was very mysterious. No one knew exactly where it was. To enter the first ancestral land of the Yao race, one had to bring a token and take a special teleportation array. It was a very complicated path. In truth, it was to conceal the true location of the first ancestral land. At this moment, Lin Feng and the others were standing in a dense forest. The first ancestral land of the Yao race was an independent small world. This kind of small world naturally would not appear. To enter such a small world, one either had to master some special means, find a space node and enter from there, or hold a token to inform the people of the first ancestral land of the Yao race. Then, the cultivators of the first ancestral land of the Yao race would come out and lead everyone in. The Fire Chelan took out a flag. The flag shone and shot out a divine light. The divine light kept growing bigger. Soon, it wrapped around Lin Feng and the others. Then, the divine light flew in a direction of the forest and soon disappeared into thin air. Swish! The light disappeared. Lin Feng found himself in a place with beautiful mountains and clear waters. The spiritual qi here was very abundant. This place was very comfortable. In the distance, there were Spirit Lu, Spirit Rabbit, and other creatures running. In the sky, there were also groups of red-crowned cranes and all kinds of spiritual birds flying. In the distance, Lin Feng even saw a white tiger standing on the top of a mountain and looking in their direction. The white tiger quickly withdrew its gaze and looked in another direction. This place. It should be the first ancestral land of the Yao race. Let's go and have a rest. When we're done, we'll take little Lin Feng to see the ancestors. They're really strong. Each one of them is a bestial god from the ancient times, said Lin Feng. The Fire Chelan said. Hearing that, Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. The title of demon god was among the titled gods. It belonged to one of the top titles of the Yao race. To be able to be called a demon god was definitely an existence that shocked the heavens and earth. In the past, the first ancestral land of the Yao race was very powerful. There was more than one true immortal powerhouse guarding it. But now, there was a titled god? A demon god of the era had appeared. Obviously, the current first ancestral land of the Yao race was perhaps more powerful and terrifying than the world imagined. Because before this, Lin Feng did not even know about the existence of these demon gods. Okay, Lin Feng nodded. They had been on the road for several months. Basically, they did not have a good rest. Lin Feng was also extremely tired. Lin Feng followed the Fire Chelan and the others into the depths of the Yao race's ancestral land. On the way, they saw some patrolling cultivators. Those patrolling cultivators were not weak. They were all elite cultivators of the first ancestral land of the Yao race. There were many Yao cultivators in the first ancestral land of the Yao race. There was even a huge ancient city of the Yao race here. In addition to the ancient city of the Yao race, there were many towns and villages scattered everywhere. The area of this small world was very large. It was about the size of a prefecture in the 9 states. Chapter 5093. The structure of the ancestral lands is very complicated. For example, the first ancestral land is divided into many factions. For example, the factions left behind by the 3 Yao gods are all very powerful. Aside from the 3 Yao gods, there are also some top-tier factions. Although they don't have any Yao gods, their foundations are still very strong. Existences close to the Yao gods are sealed in godstones, and in recent years, they have come out one after another. Even the Yao gods don't dare to underestimate them. Little Peng King said. Lin Feng said, "It seems that the first ancestral land is a very lively place." Little Peng King and the others naturally knew what Lin Feng meant by lively. Actually, what Lin Feng meant by lively was scheming against each other. Think about it. When a family lived together, there would always be friction. What's more, when cultivators from different factions live together. As the saying goes, where there are people, there will be conflicts. Now, there were so many factions gathered in the first ancestral land. All kinds of conflicts were bound to occur. Princess Shuiyao replied, "A few years ago, there was quite a bit of trouble and the fighting was quite fierce. However, ever since the 3 devil gods appeared, the various large powers have become much more well-behaved. With the 3 devil gods holding down the fort, those powers have been able to calm down." Lin Feng said, "The 3 Yao gods also have their own factions. I'm afraid that the 3 Yao gods can't be fair, right?" Little Peng King said, "The 3 Yao gods don't care about the first ancestral land. They came out this time because they want to defy the heavens and change their fate. As long as the cultivators in the first ancestral land don't go too far, the 3 Yao gods won't interfere. Therefore, the 3 Yao gods won't deliberately favor the factions they left behind. Of course, the 3 Yao gods are still experts from the 3 top-tier factions. Although the 3 Yao gods won't help the 3 factions, after the 3 Yao gods came out, the status of the 3 factions also rose." What the Little Rock King said was human nature. Along the way, Lin Feng learned a lot about the first ancestral land from the Fire Qilin, Little Peng King, and the others. About 10 days later, Lin Feng and the others arrived at their residence. The place where the Fire Qilin and the others lived was called Ancient Yao Town. It was a town. Most of the people living here were cultivators who had ascended from the lower realm. The cultivators living in the ancient city were the native demon cultivators of the Undying Realm. Of course, ordinary native cultivators of the Undying Realm were not qualified to live in the ancient city. The demon clan cultivators inside were basically cultivators from various major forces of the demon clan. Ordinary native cultivators of the Undying Realm, those who had a better life would live in towns, while those who had a worse life would live in villages. There was a huge difference in where one lived. First, the first point. Regardless of whether it was the ancient city at the center or the towns and villages outside, they were all covered by a huge spirit-gathering formation. The weakest spirit-gathering array was naturally in the village. The spirit-gathering array in the town was much more powerful than the one in the village. The spirit-gathering array in the center of the ancient city was the most powerful. The stronger the spirit-gathering formation, the more beneficial it would be for one's cultivation. The second point. Clearly, the cultivators who lived in the ancient city were more convenient than the cultivators who lived in the towns, and the cultivators who lived in the towns were more convenient than the cultivators who lived in the villages. For example, the trading of some items. There was a huge commercial street in the center of the ancient city, as well as places like black markets. If one wanted to buy something or sell something, one could go to those commercial streets or black markets. Although there were also commercial streets and black markets in the towns, compared to the ancient city in the center, it was simply worlds apart. As for the villages, there were no commercial streets or black markets at all, or there was a village grocery store. The third point. In the ancient city in the center, one could get first-hand orders about the first ancestral land of the demon clan and a lot of news about the outside world. However, if one lived in a town or a village, it would obviously take many days to get the news. After the Great Peng King, the Peacock King, and the others came to the first ancestral land of the demon clan, they showed extraordinary talent. In addition, they were cultivators from the 9 provinces' great world. In the beginning, They actually lived in the ancient city in the center. However, they were ostracized. So the Great Pung King and the Peacock King discussed and moved out of the ancient city. Only then did they settle down in the ancient city. They bought a courtyard in the ancient city. The courtyard was not particularly big. However, it was more than enough to house 40 to 50 people. Moreover, the Great Pung King and the others did not have a lot of people. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, so we won't disturb you too. However, we have to take it easy. Our bed here has been in disrepair for a long time and is not sturdy. The fire Chilan said with a smile. Lin Feng kicked the fire Chilan's butt. This guy. Nothing good can come out of a dog's mouth. What the hell is he talking about? Feng Yaorao was not embarrassed. She had a cheerful personality, and everyone knew about her relationship with Lin Feng. Back then, Lin Feng had even proposed to the heavenly wind god, and the heavenly wind god had agreed to marry Feng Yaorao to Lin Feng. Feng Yaorao led Lin Feng to their residence. She did not arrange a new residence for Lin Feng. Instead, she brought Lin Feng to her room. It was clear that from now on, Lin Feng and Feng Yaorao would live together shamelessly. Lin Feng and Feng Yaorao checked the items they had obtained. Lin Feng discovered that the evil aura surrounding the three treasures had yet to dissipate. He was unable to clearly see what it was. He also could not take out the items inside. However, the evil aura was weakening. Perhaps it would not be long before it completely dissipated. At that time, he would be able to find out what the three treasures were. When night fell, Lin Feng and Feng Yaorao left their residence and came to the living room in the front courtyard. The fire Chilan looked at Lin Feng and Feng Yaorao with a teasing gaze. It was only when Lin Feng took out his spiked club that the fire Chilan regained its serious expression. The fire Chilan said, "We are not far from the central ancient city, so we can reach there in 4 hours. Let's go to the central ancient city now and meet the 3 demon gods first." Because non-demon cultivators have to obtain permission from the higher-ups of the demon race to go to Suyu Lake. As long as the 3 demon gods agree, no one can say anything. Since that's the case, let's set off now. I also want to meet the 3 demon gods of the ancient era, Lin Feng said. Everyone set off toward the central ancient city. 4 hours later, they arrived at the central ancient city. The walls of the central ancient city were constructed from a type of dark demon stone. Chapter 5094. One had to pay a certain amount of immortal stones to enter the city. Of course, these immortal stones were nothing to Lin Feng and the others. After entering the central ancient city, they discovered that it was bustling with people. Countless demon race cultivators had gathered in the central ancient city. Little Rock King said, "The cultivators from the towns and villages outside can only enter the central ancient city once every 3 months. Every time they come, they can only stay for 10 days at most. After 10 days, they must leave. If they don't leave, they will be expelled." As soon as he finished speaking, a commotion came from the distance. Some cultivators were fleeing in the ancient city, and many guards were chasing after them. In the end, the cultivator was caught by the guards and was beaten half to death. A group of guards dragged the cultivator out and threw him outside the city. Feng Yaorao said, "That guy should be the cultivator who didn't leave after the time limit was up. There's a complete sky mirror in the center of the ancient city, so no one can hide here without being discovered. Everyone's situation is recorded, so if you want to play any tricks, you'll be caught dead." The group continued to walk inside. They planned to find a place to stay first, then rest for a day before visiting the 3 demon gods. On the way, Lin Feng heard the fire Chilan and the others mention some things about the 3 demon gods. In the past, the 3 demon gods had reached the Sage Realm. Although they were only at the early stage of the Sage Realm, they were still Sage Realm cultivators. The cultivation of the 3 demon gods could be described as unfathomable. However, after countless years, the realms of the 3 great demon gods had fallen to a certain extent. Now, the 3 great demon gods should only have the strength of the Sage to be realm. But even so, they were incomparably powerful. Countless people looked up to them because even the Heaven Emperor was only at this level. It was too difficult for him to break through to the Sage Realm. The reason why the 3 great demon gods could break through to the Sage Realm in the past was that they had their own opportunities. Now that they were reborn, the three demon gods wanted to cultivate to the sage realm again and break through the shackles of the past. However, they also knew that this was much more difficult than normal cultivation. But no matter how difficult it was, the three demon gods would not give up. When they were looking for a place to stay, they met a group of cultivators. The leader was a young man who was transformed from a giant rock and belonged to the same race as Little Rock King. When he saw Little Rock King and the others, he said, "Little Rock King, I heard that you brought a human cultivator to the ancestral land of the demons. Have you forgotten that even you live in the first ancestral land of the demons? What right do you have to bring a human cultivator to the first ancestral land of the demons? Don't they have any rules at all? I wonder how the Great Pong King and Peacock King taught you." This young master of the demon race had a lofty and arrogant attitude. The expressions of Little Rock King and the others were somewhat ugly. Although this person was relatively young, he had already cultivated for over 80,000 years. Compared to the people of the 9 prefectures, the time they spent cultivating was much longer. One had to know that among Lin Feng's group, the Fire Qilin who had cultivated for the longest time, had only cultivated for 3 to 4,000 years. The Fire Qilin and the Red World Fairy were almost from the same era. Cultivators of the 9 prefectures were often like this. They were young, powerful, and had astonishing talent. It was easy for them to arouse the jealousy of others. For example, the cultivator in front of them. This person was called Jin Zicheng, and he was the 5th-generation grandson of the great golden-winged Rock King. This person's bloodline had undergone atavism, and he was very powerful. His bloodline was very similar to Little Rock King's because Little Rock King's bloodline had also undergone atavism. However, although their bloodlines were similar, their talents were somewhat different. Little Rock King's talent was much better than Jin Zicheng's because Little Rock King was a cultivator from the 9 prefectures' great world. Therefore, even if their bloodlines were similar, as long as they came from the 9 prefectures' great world, they would definitely be more talented than others. This made Jin Zicheng rather jealous of Little Rock King. Jin Zicheng's cultivation was now at the level of a quasi-true immortal, but he could fight against a true immortal. Therefore, his status was extremely high. Little Rock King said, "There are no rules that say we can't bring our friends to the ancient demon territory." Chong Jin's expression darkened when he heard the Little Pong King refuting him. He smiled coldly and said, "Little Pong King, how dare you act so presumptuously in front of me? Nothing can be accomplished without rules. The first ancestral land of the monster race has its own rules. Since you dared to act so presumptuously in front of me, you should be punished severely. But since we're of the same race, I'll let you off. How about this? Slap yourself 10 times and I'll let bygones be bygones." At this moment, many people gathered around to watch the show. When they saw Little Rock King and the others being targeted by Jin Zicheng, they immediately looked at Little Rock King and the others with pity. The Great Rock King of the Demon Clan's ancestral land was a race that had been passed down by a demon god. This race was extremely terrifying. Being targeted by this race was naturally very difficult in the Demon Clan's ancestral land. Back then, Great Rock King and Peacock King had discussed and decided to move out of the central ancient city because they were targeted by the Great Rock King and the other races. The reason why they were targeted was because it was actually because of jealousy. In this world, there was no love without a reason, but there was jealousy without a reason. Many people couldn't bear to see others doing well. There were too many people who would gloat when they saw others unlucky. For example, the Great Rock Clan. They were descendants of the demon god. They claimed to be very talented and had a very high status among the demon clan in the ancient demon realm. But ever since the arrival of Great Rock King and the others, they suddenly realized the Great Rock Clan cultivators who came from the mortal world were actually much more talented than them. They had always looked down on mortal world cultivators. Now that they saw that the cultivators from the mortal world were more talented than them, they were naturally extremely jealous. However, the 3 demon gods rather admired Great Rock King and the others. So, they wanted to ostracize Great Rock King and the others, but they couldn't do it too blatantly. The practitioners of the demon tribe gradually discovered that the practitioners of the demon tribe, who came from the 9 states macro world, were very special. Their talents were very powerful, but this was not the most important thing. The most important thing was that there seemed to be something special about them that allowed their cultivation to progress very quickly. This made their talents far surpass those of practitioners of the same bloodline. Only then did many people believe the rumors about the practitioners of the 9 states. Chapter 5095. This situation was like immigration. From a country, immigrating to another country. However, those who immigrated to the past were often ostracized. In fact, not to mention the migration between countries. Even if they lived from one city to another, they might be ostracized and looked down upon. For example, if they lived from a small city to a big city, they would be despised by the people of the big city. In any corner of the world, every moment, such things were happening all over the world. But when the people of the big city found out that these people from the small city were actually richer than them, at this moment, jealousy began to grow. In the world of cultivators, it was naturally the same situation. Jin Zicheng, don't go too far. Little Rock King clenched his fists and said coldly, "You reckless fool. Is my name something you can call out? Now, a simple slap is no longer enough for me to forgive you. You need to kneel on the ground and slap yourself. My patience is limited. If you don't know how to appreciate favors, I don't mind doing it myself. When the time comes, fists and feet have no eyes. If you are beaten half to death, don't blame me for not reminding you." Jin Zicheng looked at Little Rock King indifferently. It was like a cat playing with a mouse. Little Rock King's face was extremely gloomy. The rock race's status in the demon realm was too high, so he did not want to offend the rock race. But now, Jin Zicheng was going too far. This made Little Rock King quite angry. Bullied by others. Being humiliated by others? Couldn't he fight back? He was really aggrieved. F***CK, I didn't want to tolerate you for a long time. The fire Qilin had unknowingly circled behind Jin Zicheng and directly smashed a brick towards the back of Jin Zicheng's head. That was not an ordinary brick. It was actually a powerful treasure forged by the fire Qilin from the 9 heavenly stars. The power of this brick was quite fierce. Bang! The fire Qilin smashed the brick on the back of Jin Zicheng's head. Jin Zicheng screamed and then reached out to touch the back of his head. It was wet and sticky. Jin Zicheng took a look. His eyes rolled back and he almost fainted. Blood. Blood. His hands were covered in blood. Jin Zicheng was injured. "I'm going to kill you," Kim Zicheng roared angrily. "Come, let's spar again." The fire Qilin grinned and smashed another brick at Jin Zicheng. The brick was aimed at the back of Kim Zicheng's head. The brick was aimed at Kim Zicheng's head. There was a loud bang. The brick hit Kim Zicheng hard. Blood immediately flowed down from his head. Ah! Kim Zicheng covered his bleeding head and let out a shrill scream. His body. Then, he crashed to the ground. Kim Jong-chong remained motionless. This guy was knocked unconscious by the fire Qilin's 2 bricks. Damn, what's going on? Everyone was looking at each other in dismay. None of them had recovered from the shock. Kim Jong-chong had already fainted. Kim Zicheng was truly too pitiful. Moreover, it was too sullen. He didn't even understand what was going on before he was knocked unconscious by a few consecutive bricks. Kim Zicheng had never been so sullen before. The fire Qilin said, "Everyone, please bear witness to this. We were just exchanging pointers, but this guy couldn't defeat me, so I knocked him unconscious with a brick." Many people couldn't help but roll their eyes when they heard the fire Qilin. Could the fire Qilin be any more shameless? How could the fire Qilin be so shameless? It was the fire Qilin who had attacked Kim Zicheng when he wasn't paying attention. Despicable. Fire Unicorn, you're despicable. No matter what, you're a member of the Holy Beast clan, and you're attacking people by surprise. You're a disgrace to your ancestors. We're all bestial beasts. You're a disgrace. "It's a disgrace to the fire Qilin," said one of Kim Zicheng's followers coldly. The fire Qilin didn't care about their provocation. He said indifferently, "If you can't defeat me, just admit it. Don't try to find excuses." How ridiculous. Lin Feng knew how shameless the fire Qilin was. When the fire Qilin was shameless, it was infuriating. Just like now. Kim Zichong's followers were trembling with anger, but they didn't dare to attack the Fire Qilin and the others. After all, the Fire Qilin and the others were very strong. Fine, just you wait. When young Master Kim wakes up, you won't be able to bear the consequences. One of Kim Zichong's followers said coldly. His eyes couldn't help but reveal a sinister glint. Following which, Jin Zichong's followers carried him away. Lin Feng and the others didn't stay either. They quickly left. Kim Zichong and the others have been bullying the 9 provinces' great world's monster cultivators. Before this, the monster cultivators had been swallowing their anger and didn't resist. Now that they dare to resist, they won't let this matter rest. Just wait and see, there will be a good show. At this time, a cultivator said. This cultivator's words gained the approval of many people. Another person said, it shouldn't be too bad. After all, they're all monster cultivators. They'll see each other all the time. A middle-aged cultivator said, that's not necessarily the case. These people from the 9 provinces' great world are very talented and have aroused the jealousy of many people. Also, I heard that when these people went to the heavenly illusionary land, many of them obtained great opportunities. For example, the little Pang King obtained a heavenly illusionary mirror. There are 7 heavenly illusionary mirrors in total. As long as one can obtain one can obtain the other heavenly illusionary mirrors. When the heavenly illusionary mirrors are combined, one can obtain an ancient weapon. Just imagine what an amazing opportunity this is. Many people's eyes have already turned red from jealousy. So, today's matter is actually just a fuse. Perhaps there will be even more intense conflicts in the future. That's right. I agree with this, brother. If the Great Peng King and the Peacock King hadn't received some guidance from the 3 great ancestors, many people would have attacked them long ago. An old man said. The 3 great ancestors referred to the 3 monster immortals who had once guided the Great Peng King and the Peacock King in their cultivation. Although they weren't master and disciple, there was still some affection between them. This was also the reason why the other monster forces didn't dare to attack. However, Chapter 5096. Lin Feng and the others found an inn to stay in. They rented one of the courtyards in the inn. They rented it for a total of 10 days. After arriving at the living room, Lin Feng said, now that things have turned out like this, I'm afraid that the situation in the demon clan's ancestral land will be even more difficult in the future. The Fire Qilin said, if this place doesn't want me, there will naturally be a place for me. Actually, we already had a discussion before, and we plan to wait for the Great Rock King and the Peacock King to come out before following you to the Sin Realm. Hearing this, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He naturally hoped that the Great Rock King, the Peacock King, the Fire Qilin, and the others would go to the Sin Realm. They were the people closest to him. If he went to the Sin Realm, he would be able to see them often, and he would also be able to increase the strength of the Sin Realm. Naturally, this was something that he was looking forward to. Lin Feng said, that's good. Then let's go to the Sin Realm. That's our own territory. The Little Rock King said, we need to wait until Uncle and the others come out. Lin Feng asked, do the people of the Demon Clan's ancestral land know that they have entered the world of time reversal? The Little Rock King shook his head and said, I don't know. Only the few of us know about this. The people of the Demon Clan's ancestral land were already very ostracized by us. If they knew that Uncle and the others had entered the world of time reversal, who knows what those people would do? The Little Rock King's words were actually very reasonable. To put it bluntly, this world, everything was dominated by benefits. It was an incomparably realistic world. In the eyes of countless cultivators, benefits were paramount. Therefore, for the sake of benefits, these cultivators would do all sorts of things. After resting for a day, Lin Feng followed the Fire Qilin and the others to pay their respects to the 3 demon gods. Lin Feng really wanted to see the 3 bestial beasts. After all, they were experts from the ancient era. Being able to meet such an ancient expert was not an easy thing to do. Of course, not everyone was qualified to meet the 3 demon gods. Thus, Lin Feng's invitation clearly stated his identity. Sin Realm's master, Lin Feng. This was the identity that Lin Feng had written. He believed that the 3 Yao gods had heard of his name. Lin Feng's invitation was presented to the three Yao gods. Soon after, an old man from the bestial clan came and invited Lin Feng to see the three bestial gods. This old man was a supreme elder of the demon race's ancestral ground. His status was also extraordinary, but he was nothing in front of the three ancestors. Lin Feng saw the three bestial beasts in a palace in the starry sky. Lin Feng originally thought that the three demon gods would have white hair. However, Lin Feng was slightly surprised to see them. Although they were ancient existences, they weren't old. They looked like middle-aged men with exuberant blood energy. This was a clear difference from the old men. After the old experts came into being, their bloodlines would collapse. It would be very difficult for them to reverse the heaven's will. However, the three Yao gods were in their prime. Even though their cultivation levels had already dropped, their lifespans were slipping away quickly, but their powerful blood energy was enough to support their transformation. The three bestial beasts were also observing Lin Feng. Lin Feng didn't know what they were thinking. "Greetings, masters," said Lin Feng, bowing respectfully. Lin Feng cupped his fists and bowed to the three. The golden-robed cultivator was Du Peng. He smiled and said, "Young friend, there's no need to be so courteous." Lin Feng stood up. The gray-robed Yao god was the heaven-devouring python demon god. He was also an extremely terrifying existence. His face was somewhat sinister. He looked at Lin Feng and said, "The imperial clan of sovereigns is an extraordinary clan. In the past, it was extremely prosperous. During the primordial era, Ji Zishu's name shook the entire primordial era. Later on, many people thought that your clan's inheritance had been lost. Many people sighed. Today, I'm very happy to see a descendant of the imperial clan of sovereigns." Lin Feng said, "Thank you for your concern, senior." The heaven-devouring python demon god smiled and didn't say anything else. The third Yao god was from the white peacock demon god. The celestial emperor's mother was a cultivator from the white peacock demon god. The white peacock demon god had been very powerful in the past, but the celestial race and the immortal race still looked down on them. Because of this, the celestial emperor had been ridiculed in his youth. Of course, the white peacock demon god was divided into many branches. The branch of the undying realm might not have much relation to the white peacock demon god in the celestial realm. "Do any of your ancestors still exist in this world?" the white peacock demon god asked. The great Pong demon god and the heaven-devouring python demon god were clearly very interested in this question, and they both looked at Lin Feng. They wanted to get an answer from Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, "There are still a few ancestors who are in deep slumber in the ancestral lands." "Oh, there's actually such a thing?" The three Yao gods were very surprised. They couldn't tell if Lin Feng was telling the truth or not. Actually, they felt that Lin Feng was lying. This was because the sovereign emperor clan was too heaven-defying. It was very difficult for several of their clansmen to live in the same era. Thus, deep in their hearts, they didn't really believe Lin Feng's words. However, the sovereign emperor clan was too extraordinary, and they possessed many unimaginable methods. Was there a way to deceive the heavens and avoid the punishment of the heavenly Tao? Was there a way for several of their clansmen to survive in the same era? This was also something that was very difficult to say. Lin Feng said that because he hadn't seen any other cultivators from the sovereign imperial clan. Lin Feng didn't care about the sovereign imperial clan. Those powerful ancestors, perhaps they had all died long ago. What a sorrowful thing. But in front of outsiders, he naturally couldn't reveal all of his clan's secrets, could he? Moreover, perhaps, the sovereign emperor clan. Were there really still some of their ancestors alive? This was also very likely. "If you have the chance, please send our greetings to the seniors," said the great Peng demon god. The great Peng demon god said, "This junior will remember," Lin Feng said. After pausing for a moment, Lin Feng continued, "This time, apart from paying respects to the three seniors, this junior also wants to go to Sewer Lake to take a look. I hope that the three seniors can help me." Chapter 5097. Junior will remember this, Lin Feng replied. The white peacock demon god flicked his finger, and a jade talisman flew towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng took the jade talisman in his hand. The white peacock king said, You can go with this jade talisman? All right, then this junior will not disturb the 3 seniors' cultivation. This junior will take his leave, Lin Feng said. The 3 demon gods nodded. Lin Feng did not stay any longer and quickly left. Outside, he met up with the Fire Qilin and the others. How is it? The Fire Qilin asked. Lin Feng took out the jade talisman and said, I've already obtained the token. We can go to the Suyu Lake now. Excellent, the Fire Qilin said with a smile. Lin Feng and the others did not stay any longer and directly left the ancient city. They did not check out either. The remaining rent for the next few days would be considered a gift to the inn. The Suyu Lake was 3 days away from the ancient city. Not long after Lin Feng and the others left, Jin Zichong, who had been knocked unconscious by the Fire Qilin with a brick, finally woke up. Actually, Jin Zichong should have woken up earlier. But after suffering such a great humiliation, in Jin Zichong's subconscious, he did not want to wake up. Thus, Jin Zichong did not wake up for a long time. After waking up, Jin Zichong still felt waves of intense pain coming from the back of his head and forehead. The current Jin Zichong simply wanted to cut the Fire Qilin into 1,000 pieces. Even Lin Feng, Little Rock King, Feng Yaorao, and the others were hated by Jin Zichong. He had never suffered such a great humiliation. Thus, today's matter was absolutely intolerable. Jin Zichong stood up and went outside. Young master, you're awake? Seeing Jin Zichong come out, the servant outside hurriedly bowed to Jin Zichong. Where are the Fire Qilin and the others? Jin Zichong asked with a gloomy expression. The servant said, 2 hours ago, these people left the city. It is said that they accompanied that human cultivator to the Suyu Lake. Oh, they're heading towards Suyu Lake. That's great. It's not easy to deal with those guys in the center of the city, but if they leave the city, it'll be much easier. Jin Zichong's eyes flashed, and he ordered coldly, Go and gather some strong cultivators. I want to destroy those bastards. As a servant, he naturally did not dare to disobey Kim Zichong's orders. Therefore, after hearing Jin Zichong's order, the servant complied. Then, he quickly went to gather the experts. Lin Feng and the others ran into Hualing Xian when they were heading towards Suyu Lake. Lin Feng and Hualing Xian had known each other for a long time. Hualing Xian was Demon Empress Feng Shi's disciple. Before those experts were born, Demon Empress Feng Shi was the top expert of the demon clan. Her cultivation was at the true immortal realm, and her cultivation was unfathomable. Even many experts with strong backgrounds didn't dare to underestimate Demon Empress Phoenix Creek. However, Demon Empress Phoenix Creek was rather low profile. She rarely asked about the matters of the demon clan's ancestral land, and she seemed to be focused on cultivation. After seeing Lin Feng, Hualing Xian seemed to be quite happy. She said, I didn't think that Lin Gongzi would come to the demon clan's ancestral land at this time. Fortunately, I rushed back, or else I would have missed Lin Gongzi. Now, where are Lin Gongzi and Yaorao planning to go? Why don't you come to my place to rest? Hualing Xian lived on Phoenix Creek Mountain, which was a cultivation paradise. It was where Demon Empress Feng Shi cultivated. Lin Feng had learned that Hualing Xian and Feng Yaorao had a very good relationship. Perhaps, beautiful women would always admire each other. Therefore, although they hadn't known each other for a long time, their relationship was like that of sisters. Lin Feng said, We're planning to go to Suyu Lake to take a look. When we return from there, we'll go and visit you. Hualing Xian said, I don't have anything to do anyway, so I'll go to Suyu Lake with you. Since Hualing Xian had said so, Lin Feng and the others naturally wouldn't refuse. Moreover, Hualing Xian, a delicate beauty, was among the people traveling with them. Naturally, it was pleasing to the eye. Thus, Hualing Xian joined the group. Everyone continued to walk in the direction of Suyu Lake. Another 2 days passed. Lin Feng and the others arrived at Suyu Lake. Suyu Lake was enveloped by a huge restriction. In that area, white fog rolled. The restriction hidden in the white fog was very powerful. If one wanted to smoothly pass through the area covered by the white fog to reach Suyu Lake, they would need to take a special passage. Otherwise, it was very likely that they would die under the attack of those restrictions. Don't underestimate those powerful restrictions. Those restrictions were set up by many demon gods at their peak. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to resist those restrictions at all. However, there was a special passage that was very safe. One just had to hand the token over to the guardian. The Fire Chelan and the others couldn't pass without the token, so they waited outside for Lin Feng. As for Lin Feng, he took the jade talisman and headed to the entrance of the passage. There were dozens of cultivators guarding there. Lin Feng handed the jade talisman to a cultivator. After the cultivator looked at the jade talisman, he let them pass. Lin Feng entered the passage. The passage was enveloped by a powerful array formation and would not be attacked by the restrictions in the white fog area. The passage was about 10 miles long. It wasn't too far. After Lin Feng passed through the passage, he finally arrived at Suyu Lake. The area of Suyu Lake wasn't very big. It was only about 100 mu of land. Lin Feng flew to the middle of Suyu Lake. On the way here, the Fire Chelan and the others had already told Lin Feng a lot about Suyu Lake. When he arrived at Suyu Lake, he floated in the middle of Suyu Lake. Then, he carefully looked at the surface of Suyu Lake. When the time came, he would be able to sense the specific situation inside. Lin Feng followed the method described by the Fire Chelan and the others. He looked at the surface of Suyu Lake. The surface of Suyu Lake was like a mirror. At the very beginning, Lin Feng didn't see anything, but as time passed, Lin Feng realized that in a flash, there were some images in the lake. It was a mountain range. It was a very ancient mountain range. It was shaped like a huge dragon that lived on the ground. He didn't know where it was. Looking into the distance, he could see endless forests, lakes, plains, deserts, and ancient cities. Is this a mysterious world? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. Chapter 5098. Lin Feng didn't dare to rashly jump to a conclusion, because he had heard Fire Chelan, Feng Yaorao, and the others talk about the illusory world that appeared in the lake. If it was a real world, it would be fine. If it was an illusory world, once he communicated with it and entered that world, it would be a disastrous thing. Lin Feng didn't try to communicate with that world. He was still observing that world, hoping to find some clues. Lin Feng saw the first ancient city, but the ancient city was a little far from him. Therefore, he couldn't see the specific situation of the ancient city clearly. However, the ancient city was getting closer and closer. Not long after, he could see the full appearance of the ancient city. Everything in this world was like a landscape painting, slowly unfolding and then showing Lin Feng, a dilapidated ancient city. When Lin Feng saw the full appearance of the ancient city, he couldn't help but mutter to himself. He frowned slightly. It was actually a dilapidated ancient city. This was something that Lin Feng didn't expect. Looking from the outside, the ancient city was perfect, without any signs of dilapidation. But looking from the inside, the streets and houses in the ancient city had long been destroyed. There were even many skeletons on the ground. The scene changed quickly. Not long after, Lin Feng saw the second ancient city, which was still a dilapidated ancient city. In the following scenes, Lin Feng saw a world full of death aura. The various ancient cities were already dilapidated, and there were countless skeletons. Although there were still some creatures in the mountains, grasslands, deserts, lakes, and other places, they were only some low-level creatures, not powerful cultivators. A destroyed world. Lin Feng muttered to himself. This world was huge, but it was destroyed. Dong dong dong. Suddenly, Lin Feng heard a series of dull collision sounds coming from the depths of this world. Then, a huge figure appeared. When he saw that huge figure, Lin Feng couldn't help but be slightly surprised. Here, it wasn't that there was no one. That mysterious existence was at the end of the world. Due to the distance, they couldn't see his face. He held a huge hammer and seemed to be hammering something. Lin Feng tried to reach the end of this world. However, no matter how hard Lin Feng tried, he couldn't reach it. This left Lin Feng quite speechless. It also made Lin Feng feel very helpless. However, not long after, Lin Feng saw an ancient demonic pagoda flying out from the end of the world. Lin Feng was shocked. This was the Devil Pagoda before it was split into two. It was still complete. Now, he actually saw the figure of the demonic tower in this world. What did this mean? Could it be? Was that mysterious existence forging the Devil Pagoda? The origin of the Devil Pagoda was very mysterious. No one knew the origin of the Devil Pagoda. Of course, it was also possible that someone knew the origin of the demonic tower, but Lin Feng didn't know who knew the origin of the demonic tower. Devil Pagoda. It exuded a terrifying aura. Even though it had only just been forged, it was already unimaginably powerful. A world created by the Devil Pagoda. Just who is the existence at the end of the world? Lin Feng could not stop himself from mumbling. He was very interested in the mysterious existence at the end of the world. He wanted to know the identity of the mysterious existence. Unfortunately, the mysterious existence had never appeared. Lin Feng knew. The world within the lake must be a real world. However, he did not know where it was. Lin Feng had no intentions of entering the world. It hadn't been easy for him to reach the undying plane. Lin Feng did not know what would happen after entering the world. If he could not return to the undying plane, wouldn't that be a tragedy? Lin Feng did not want that to happen. The Devil Pagoda flew through the void. Next, it furiously devoured all the powers within the world. The power of death, the power of darkness, the power of light, and so on. All the powers. The Devil Pagoda furiously devoured them all. As the demonic tower absorbed all kinds of energy, its power continued to increase. By devouring the various powers, the Devil Pagoda completed its transformation. Suddenly, the ground cracked open and an item flew out from the ground. The item furiously slammed against the Devil Pagoda. Lin Feng turned to look at the item and a look of shock appeared on his face. The item that had flown out from the ground was actually a beast claw. The beast claw was very special and strange. It was covered in golden scales. Seeing the beast claw, Lin Feng could not stop himself from revealing a puzzled look. That beast claw. Just what kind of creature did it belong to? Why was there only one claw left? Had that living being died? Was there only one claw left in this world? Perhaps that was a real possibility. The beast claw fought against the Devil Pagoda. The beast claw wanted to destroy the Devil Pagoda but failed. The Devil Pagoda wanted to destroy the beast claw and devour it. However, the Devil Pagoda failed as well. Neither the Devil Pagoda nor the beast claw could do anything to the other party. It's Li Dianli's beast claw. I never thought that Li Dianli's beast claw would still exist in this world. I wonder if this scene in front of me is something from this era? Perhaps it's something from a previous era. I've never heard of a creature like Li Dianli appearing in this era. At this moment, the Demon Lord's voice suddenly resounded in Lin Feng's mind. Li Dianli? What the hell is that? Lin Feng could not help but ask curiously. This was the first time he had heard of a creature like Li Dianli. However, from the tone of the Demon Lord's voice, it could be deduced. Li Dianli was a creature like that. It should be an extremely terrifying existence. But what kind of existence was it? Lin Feng did not know for the time being. Yao Jun said, Li Dianli is said to be a creature born in thunder and lightning. It is born to control the power of thunder and lightning, and the power of thunder and lightning is almost the most destructive power. Therefore, Li Dianli's attack power is very strong. Moreover, Li Dianli's life force is incomparably tenacious, almost unkillable. This kind of creature is not particularly big in appearance, about the size of an ordinary leopard. It does not have a specific shape, and it is said that it can change into any shape it will. Lin Feng asked doubtfully, since he doesn't have a specific form, how can you tell that the claw is Li Dianli's? Chapter 5099. After hearing the Demon Lord's explanation, Lin Feng could basically confirm that the claw was left behind by Li Dianrong. However, no matter who left it behind, it was something that happened countless years ago. It wasn't something that happened in the present, so it was impossible for the claw to come to this space-time. In fact, Lin Feng was a little disappointed because he was still hoping to see the time reversal world in the lake. Dreams were beautiful, but reality was cruel. Lin Feng wasn't able to see the time reversal world in the virtual world. It was just his wishful thinking, so he could only sigh. It seemed that it was impossible to enter the time reversal world from the first ancestral land of the demon race. As for the scenes he saw, he would just treat it as a show. Lin Feng couldn't enter that world, and it was most likely destroyed. What was the difference between entering that world and seeking death? Lin Feng was about to leave, but at that moment, Lin Feng suddenly heard a voice. "Take me out, take me out, take me out," the voice said. After hearing the voice, Lin Feng couldn't help but be stunned. That voice, where did it come from? Why was it ringing in his mind? Lin Feng asked, "Demon Lord, did you hear a voice?" "Voice? What voice?" The Demon Lord asked, puzzled. "Take me out, that voice is repeating those words," said Lin Feng. The Demon Lord frowned slightly, then said, "Could it be related to what you saw in the lake?" That, Lin Feng frowned, because what the Demon Lord said was very possible. If that was the case, who was transmitting the voice to him? And who could transmit the voice to him through that illusory world? Why did it sound so unbelievable? However, that voice did exist, and Lin Feng heard it very clearly. "How do I take you out?" Lin Feng asked. The voice didn't answer Lin Feng, which made Lin Feng speechless. "You asked me to take you out, but you're not saying anything now. What the hell are you trying to do?" "If you don't say anything, I'm leaving," Lin Feng said. "Take me out, take me out, take me out." The voice once again rang in Lin Feng's mind. Lin Feng said, "How do I take you out? You should tell me. If you don't say anything, how do I take you out?" "Take me out, take me out, take me out." The voice was still repeating those 4 words. Fuck is not a brand, right? It's not transmitting voice at all. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. Otherwise, why would the voice keep repeating the same sentence? It was too suspicious. Lin Feng decided to leave, but as he was leaving, the voice resonated in Lin Feng's head again. "You're right, you're right, you're right." Lin Feng decided to leave, but as he was leaving, the voice resonated in his head again. "Don't go, take me out, take me out, take me out." This time, the words spoken by the voice were slightly different from before. That was because the voice had added the words, "Don't go." It's not a brand. Lin Feng was surprised. The voice didn't seem to be a brand, and it was really talking to him. For some reason, it didn't tell him how to take the voice out. The situation in front of him was really strange, and it made his hair stand on end. However, Lin Feng wasn't frightened. He thought for a moment, then said, "All right, I'll take you out. You can come out now." After Lin Feng said that, the surface of the lake started to ripple violently. The world that appeared on the surface of the lake started to distort, and an illusory space-time gate was constructed in that world. At that moment, Lin Feng saw it. The claw of Li Dian had actually rushed into the space-time gate and disappeared without a trace. At the same time, the world that appeared on the surface of the lake disappeared as well. Above the lake, a space-time gate was formed. The space-time gate was emitting violent waves as it opened bit by bit. This space-time gate can't be the gate that appeared in that world, right? Lin Feng couldn't help but wonder. He felt like he was going crazy. That world, it was a world from countless years ago, or even several epochs ago. Logically speaking, that world belonged to the past space-time, and it didn't have any intersection with the present space-time. Therefore, the space-time gate condensed from the past space-time couldn't be connected to the present space-time. However, what was the actual situation? It was a space-time gate that was constructed between 2 different space-time worlds. It was normal for something like this to happen in a dream. However, something like this had happened in reality. It was really, he couldn't understand what was happening in front of him. Perhaps it was because he wasn't strong enough. Only when one's strength reached a certain level would one be able to understand some things that seemed inconceivable. However, Lin Feng's cultivation hadn't reached that level yet. Therefore, there were some things that Lin Feng couldn't understand. At this moment, a bolt of lightning suddenly descended from the void. The bolt of lightning directly struck towards the space-time gate. Bang! The bolt of lightning struck the space-time gate fiercely. The space-time gate trembled violently, and it seemed like it was about to dissipate. Boom! 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 At that moment, bolts of lightning fell from the sky one after another, heading straight for the gate of time and space. The bolts of lightning struck the space-time gate, and the space-time gate was about to be completely destroyed. Lin Feng was shocked. Could it be that the way of heaven didn't allow the space-time gate to appear? Thinking about it, that might be the reason. After all, the space-time gate was a space-time gate that appeared countless years ago, or even several epochs ago. It shouldn't appear in the present space-time. Therefore, the way of heaven wanted to destroy the space-time gate. Just when Lin Feng thought that the space-time gate was about to be destroyed by the way of heaven, suddenly, something shocking happened. The space-time gate actually solidified again. The way of heaven seemed to have sensed all of this, so it descended an even more powerful bolt of lightning. However, it still couldn't destroy the space-time gate. The space-time gate. It opened quickly. Swoosh. The next moment, Chapter 5100. That golden light turned into a claw. It was Li Dianli's claw. When he saw Li Dianli's claw, Lin Feng's face showed an incomparably moved expression. Li Dianli's claw actually appeared in this space-time. It was really incredible, but everything was true. After Li Dianli's claw appeared, it directly swept towards the void. The power of thunder and lightning that had just condensed in the void was instantly shattered by Li Dianli's claw. And at this time, Lin Feng clearly felt that there seemed to be a more powerful attack brewing. Although that attack had not yet condensed, Lin Feng hurriedly flew towards the shore, so as not to be implicated. At this time, beams of death light condensed in the void one after another. The dense beams of death light all slashed towards Li Dianli's claw. Each beam of death light contained a power that could destroy heaven and earth. The heavenly Tao was determined to destroy Li Dianli's claw. Li Dianli's claw violated the laws of heaven and earth, coming from the past to the present. If it could really withstand the attack of the heavenly Tao and continue to live in this space-time, it would be really terrifying. Facing the attack of the death beams, Li Dianli's claws swept towards the death beams. One after another, the sound of collision rang out. Li Dianli's claws collided with the death beams one after another. Every time they collided, a terrifying shockwave that was enough to destroy the world was sent out. Even the void was shattered by the impact. The death light beams could not do anything to Li Dianli's claw. Then, all kinds of attacks were brewed, all slashing towards Li Dianli's claw. Li Dianli's claw collided with the various attacks condensed by the heavenly Tao. The attacks condensed by the heavenly Tao were strong, but they could not destroy Li Dianli's claw. I travel through time and space. Heaven and earth decay, but I am immortal. Heaven and earth perish, but I am immortal. At this time, a low voice resounded between heaven and earth. This was the voice of Li Dianli's claw. It was really strange that a claw could speak, but the world of cultivators was like this. Strange things of every description emerged one after another. So it was acceptable for such a thing to happen. In the end, Li Dianho's claws blocked all the attacks of the heavenly Tao. The invisible pressure that lingered in the void dissipated. Tian Dao no longer attacked Li Dianhu's claws. This was similar to a cultivator's tribulation. The lightning tribulation condensed by the heavenly Tao attempted to destroy the cultivators. Some cultivators died in the lightning tribulation. However, some cultivators managed to successfully overcome their lightning tribulations. Right now, Li Dianho's claws had resisted the attack of the heavenly Tao, which was similar to the tribulation. Li Dianli's claws quickly flew towards Lin Feng. Then, a voice came from Li Dianli's claws. Kid, you have the aura of the Devil Tower on you. Could it be that you have some connection with the Devil Tower? Let me search your soul and see if there are any memories related to the Demon Tower. Hearing Li Diansu's words, Lin Feng suddenly had the urge to vomit blood. I helped you come from that world to this space-time, and you want to search my soul? Wasn't this a classic case of biting the hand that fed him? Lin Feng had the urge to slap Li Dianho to death. However, Lin Feng didn't dare to show his true thoughts. Li Dianho was simply too strong. He couldn't compete with Li Dianho. I can tell you whatever you want to know. Don't search my soul. Have you forgotten? I played an extremely important role in the reason you were able to come from that world to this space-time. A powerful existence like you shouldn't do something like biting the hand that fed you, right? Lin Feng hurriedly said. Li Dianho said, don't you know that Li Dianho only cares about benefits and not friendship? That's why I've long since forgotten about your kindness to me. That's possible? The corner of Lin Feng's mouth couldn't help but twitch slightly. As the saying goes, shameless people are invincible. The current Li Dianho, he gave off such a feeling. However, this guy only had one claw left. He didn't even have a face. What face did he have? Li Dianho quickly flew towards Lin Feng, as if he really wanted to search Lin Feng's soul. If Li Dianho were to do so, it would be an extremely bad thing. First, when Li Dianho's soul was searched, his soul would suffer irreparable damage. Second, Lin Feng had too many secrets. If Li Dianho were to search his soul and find out about Lin Feng's many secrets, he might kill Lin Feng and take all of Lin Feng's secrets for himself. This was something that could happen. Therefore, he had to guard against Li Dianho's soul search. Lin Feng hurriedly said, "The demon pagoda is now divided into two, and both of them have given birth to their own gods. Right now, the two demon pagodas are spying on each other. They want to devour each other and merge into one. However, neither of the two demon pagodas can do anything to each other. Therefore, for now, the two demon pagodas are in a situation where they are evenly matched. And I do have some connections with the demon pagodas. My two ancestors controlled the demon pagodas one after another. Later, it was said that the fall of my two ancestors was greatly related to the demon pagodas. Back then, I helped the Snow Clan suppress the first demon pagoda. So, if you really want to talk about it, there is only resentment and hatred between me and the demon pagodas. That's all there is between me and the demon pagodas. I've told you everything I know. You won't search my soul again, right?" After he finished speaking, Lin Feng looked at Li Dianho's claw with some apprehension. If this guy really bit the hand that fed him, then he would join forces with the demon lord to deal with this guy. Although he still might not be a match for this guy, it shouldn't be too difficult to escape, right? Lin Feng heaved a sigh of relief. After hearing his words, Li Dianho's claw stopped in midair. It didn't target Lin Feng anymore. It seemed to believe what Lin Feng had said a moment before. And Lin Feng really hadn't lied to this guy. Everything he said was true. "Do you know where the demon pagodas are?" Li Dianho asked. Lin Feng heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that Li Dianho wouldn't attack him. Lin Feng adjusted his emotions and said, "I really don't know where the two demon pagodas are, but I do know that they are in the undying world. I saw them last time in the Little Western Horizon region." "Okay," Li Dianho's claw said. Then, it tore through the void and disappeared. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.